Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another CAF update, the 151st, as a matter of fact. It's a sweltering day down here in Florida, I can tell you that. But so I've been staying indoors all day. But we've got a lot to talk about tonight. If you saw the preview email I sent out a little while ago, I've got several different topics to cover. But we are going to start things off tonight with a Heritage Signature Auction recap without the usual crew. Everybody was busy, so we put some feelers out, and well, actually, they put feelers out for me, and we've got two stand-ins today, and they're very notable collectors, and I think everybody knows both of them. So let me just bring them both in here. Well, actually, I can only bring one in here because Dan was in the green room as I was starting, and now he's not. But Mr. Lovitz is here. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good, Bill. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you. I don't think we've seen you in this location before with the art behind you. Are you at your office or
This is actually my home office.
Okay.
And normally, you can see the screen behind me. Normally, I'm facing the artwork because I want to enjoy it. And this time, I just set up my laptop so that it could be aimed at the wall with the art in it. So.
Well, very impressive, and you got some great pieces on the back there. The Electra, obviously amazing. I remember seeing that Spidey cover. Was that in New York City or was that in San Diego? I know I remember seeing that in the Alex Ross booth.
I think it was both, and that's Bill, and he had done a poster for that first Spider-Verse. So.
Exactly, but I remember seeing it in person. It was beautiful.
Yeah. No, and when my deal with Bill was, hey, if this doesn't sell by the end of New York, because that's where I saw it the second time, it's like, if it doesn't sell by the end of New York, it's mine, and so it's mine.
Well, that's the beauty, and yes, surrounded by, where was it? Rick Wells says, surrounded by stunners. That's very true. Just a few Sienkiewicz's, says Josh. So yeah, well, I'm glad you're here. We, so we're going to be doing it a little different tonight because typically we have, the art dealers who are collectors doing the Heritage recap, but we've got you tonight. And also Dan Poddick popped in while the intro video clip was playing, and then he dropped out before it was done. So I'm not sure if he'll be back in or not, but we can start off with a few things. You saw that slide that I showed. Does Dan know how to use a computer? He does. He does computer, Kazra. I'll pull this slide up. This is my usual slide that I show before we get into any Heritage recap here. So this past week's Heritage Signature Auction, we closed at $12.7 million. I did throw in a second line in there for that to kind of remove the Frazetta piece to, since that was almost half of the overall total for the artworks, to kind of give us a better perspective on the per lot amount average for the pieces. And, it's effectively, without the Frazetta, it's kind of in line with the last two signature auctions, which, by and large weren't, where we've seen things in 2022 and 2021 when, there was a lot of fervor and there's a lot of heat in the market, right? I think, so I'm not trying to draw any conclusions from all of this, but it just shows us that, in my opinion, I think we're just not seeing a lot of the top tier, six-figure art pieces hit the market like we were seeing in 2020, 2021, early 2022. I think, a lot of the consigners might be holding back on those bigger pieces just to kind of wait and see. And that certainly affects the results on pretty much every auction house's sets of sales. So, Michael, since you've not done this with me before, what would be your opinion on that?
Well, it's interesting. I think a lot of what's going on in the market depends if you're a buyer or a seller. As a buyer, I don't love buying through Heritage, and it's not because they don't have amazing stuff, and they do. I went through the catalog and I flagged 40 or 50 different pieces. So I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I want that. But as I was explaining to Kirk Dilbeck, as we were texting during one of the days of the auction, because there was a piece I was bidding on and I hit my limit. I was like, because one more bid gets me over this amount, and then it's 20% on top of that. And I'm in California, so it's another 10% on top of the 120%. So now I'm at 132% of Hammer plus shipping, and it's like that kills me. If I didn't have that, that's Comic Link is easier because you don't worry about the add-on. So the number you're doing. Yeah, I have to pay tax, but at least I know, that's kind of my goal. And with heritage, it's always that, oh, wait, I have to do the math. Hold on a second. No, I have to stop at this point because it's just too much. But as a buyer, so as a buyer, that's frustrating. But as a seller, clearly they get amazing scope of customers throughout the world. They get great prices for great pieces. Not for every piece, but certainly for the really notable ones.
Right.
But for some buyers, they might sit there and say, I'd rather do a private deal so I can skip the 20% and the tax and the other stuff, and I'll have the surety of actually having the piece. So even if I overpay slightly, I know I get it. I don't get hit with that extra. Maybe I get hit with an extra 5% or 10%, but it's still cheaper than risking this person actually taking it to the auction house. So it's interesting to watch these things. I thought it was a mixed bag this time. After, like you said, so many auctions where every expectation kept getting topped.
Right.
Craziness going on to a degree. And, the last two, that wasn't always happening, but there were still some really big pieces. And this time it was much more of a mixed bag, I thought.
I agree. I mean, outside of the Frazetta, the cap cover, I mean, there wasn't anything that you knew was going to set records or really overtly impress you as a buyer or somebody who's watching the market. So, and yeah, but I do agree. Do you feel like people are holding back a bit? I mean, as far as like, willing to risk their choice pieces. I mean, I assume you're still selling here or there, right? I mean, so
yeah.
You as a seller.
In fact, some of the pieces in this auction were mine. So
okay, I wasn't aware of that. So, but do you? But with those pieces, were you putting ones out there that you felt were sure things, or were you risking anything by putting those pieces out there this time around?
No, I certainly felt like there were some risks in what I had put out there. And one of them is one of the pieces I selected to talk about. And I'm happy to talk about it if you want to talk about it now. But the 2-in-1 cover, the Perez 2-in-1 cover, was something that I actually bought through Dueling Dealers at the start of the pandemic, and was something I really loved. It was Perez FF related, and I thought, this is awesome. I love that combo. But I was able to pick up that lovely little piece, the FF 184 cover.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
And so I was like, well, I have my really great Perez FF piece. I don't need this one. So if I have to sacrifice anything, I might as well sacrifice something from a place of excess, so to speak. Where I have enough that I can feel like, oh, I have 3 really good FF related cover-ish pieces by Perez. Let me sell off one of them. And I thought this was the easiest one to sell off. This did okay for me. It didn't do amazingly well. I was surprised because of its age that it did not do as well as the JLA. Which, albeit the JLA had the full team on it, so you had the big 7, but still it was more modern George, and this was more classic George. So I thought, and then you saw the Defenders cover in January go for I think something in the 28 or 30 range.
Correct.
And so I thought, oh well, this has a chance of hitting 25 to 30, and so it got to 20 plus the juice. So not quite as high as I would have expected. And in fact, Kirk said to me at one point, he's like, yeah, someone got a good bargain on this piece.
Oh, so. Hang on here. Let me see. I got these from Dino. I don't know if we have a good bargain one. I have one that says went cheap, but I don't think we can't say it went cheap at all, but yeah, it is. I do remember this piece. Well, you got this a couple of years ago, right? Or maybe a year and a half ago, 18 months ago. Okay.
No, it was a little over 2 years ago, I think. Like I said, it was early on in Dueling Dealers. He sold it. And so probably 2020, 2021 range, probably 21. But, I didn't lose money.
Right.
So at the end of the day, that's all I cared about was, and someone else got a really cool piece, and a piece that I would keep and love were it not for the fact that I already have a couple of other ones that I love more.
Oh, here it is. I found the one that Dino probably would have wanted me to hold up.
There you go.
Great buy. Somebody got a good one on that one. And I would agree with you. I mean, for me going into this, if we were talking about this a year and a half ago, you would have said 30 should be at least where that should fall, right?
Yeah.
At least from expectations, of where things were at. So, but you as a seller, you were able to put this piece out there because you already had another piece that you treasured more personally. And so it was, you were willing to run the risk of putting it out there and seeing what you might end up with it.
Exactly. But I can also understand that, especially now that the market has turned a little bit, that people would be more hesitant to put what they think might be a really great piece, but maybe not everybody else does. And I mean, you can look at since we're doing this, we might as well. So the Miller Daredevil page was an amazing piece. Daredevil 169. So it's the second issue with Elektra. You've got this really great shot of Elektra. In the middle tiers, you've got Daredevil. In the lowest tier, you've got Bullseye. And the three of them on the same page does not happen very, very often in the Miller run.
Right.
And this was a page that I think was offered on CAF at one point, in the six figures, mid 100s. Which other Miller collectors had said to me, well, that's a strong ask. It's a really cool piece, but it's not, quite that. It's 100 cool, but not 150 cool kind of a thing, and there were some collectors who thought that this went fairly cheap. This should have been a $90,000 page, not a $66,000 page, because of the age, because of the character combination. So, if you're sitting on that really cool page and you think, okay, great, let me put it into auction, and that's how I'll get to my 100 or 150 that I really wanted, you have to be disappointed as the seller for this piece to not have hit what I think almost everyone agreed should have been the price.
Right.
Like I said, in that 90 to 100 range. And you got 2/3 of that. So I think in the last couple of auctions, we've seen some of these kinds of cautionary tales where it's not a great cover. It's not an amazing splash. It's just, well, that's neat. That's, it's Miller and it's neat. So it should do well, right? I mean, both of those X-Men, Burn X-Men, or 3 Burn X-Men pages, I think were off of the highs that we've had of late.
Oh, definitely. And hey, Dan just popped in here, so why don't I bring Dan? Cool. Yeah, he's waving. Hey, Dan, nice to see you.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Michael. How's it going?
Dan, good.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't planning on being here tonight. I had lunch with Dino, who was supposed to be here. I'm just kind of filling in for him. But check it out. Dino got all these great things. Like, for example.
See, he sent you a set, too. I'm sorry, Michael. You did not get a set of those.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah, that's
a Moydoc, all right.
Cue your Albert Moy voiceover. But yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying on that, and it's funny, for us to talk about pages like this and say that you think that this should be that didn't do or it underperformed, right? Because it's still a strong price for a piece, right? But at the end of the day, it is such a pivotal piece, being, like you said, the second issue with Elektra. Early on in the run where Miller's pencils are more on the pages, all those sorts of things should have added a bit to it. So who's to say, right? I mean, why, what would have contributed to that? But I mean, it's a gorgeous piece of art. At the end of the day,
totally.
I looked at this one numerous times because I've never owned a Frank Miller Daredevil page, and this would be like a dream page for pretty much anyone who's a fan to own.
I completely agree. And, I also wonder to what extent it's not just people not willing to put up, some of the really cool pieces, as it is that, maybe the buyers are a little more cash strapped than they were, And it's, and people are hunkering down because they keep hearing the word recession bandied about all the time. And they're just being more cautious. And because we've seen these really amazing pieces, the Secret Wars 8 pages, these things that you never thought you'd see suddenly coming out. And maybe they're saying, they're going, okay, I'm just going to wait for something really impressive. But it's got to knock my socks off. And this is a really cool page. And if I was a Miller Daredevil fan, and I am, but and had the money to spend on it, I would have gone after this page because it does have all those elements. But is it the cover to 168? No. And maybe I'm waiting for that as mine.
Well, let me just jump in for a second, because we've seen an incredible increase in prices in a lot of stuff. Frank Miller Daredevil stuff in particular has gone nuts over the last few years. It's shaken a lot of stuff out, but you'll find that most of the good Miller Daredevil stuff is locked away really, really tightly in collections. And even with the increase in prices, you're not seeing a flood of it come into the market.
David Mandel.
Right. There's a couple of guys doing it. It doesn't take many sticky hands over the years to suck up a market, But when someone really wants to get a Daredevil page, they're going to have to be speculative. And we've seen a couple years of real speculative behavior in comic art buying. This auction, I will say, I saw a lot of good stuff getting really strong bids, but I saw a little less speculation on some examples. This thing, it has Elektra, it's got Daredevil, it's got Bullseye, it's something everybody would love to have. But some people were taking this trajectory like it should be 150, 200 now. I thought something around 80 was just ducky. I think it speaks very well for the market. So I know some people were very disappointed with this result. It was good. It just wasn't speculative.
Agreed.
Yeah, not paying 2 years down the road prices because maybe something else will come up later, or you never know where things will be in a year.
And by the way, guys, I'm sorry about the crappy camera. I was going to do it on my phone, and for some reason, I wasn't getting any microphone, so I had to switch over to this setup, which I see doesn't look quite so well set up. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're perfectly fine.
Looks fine to me. You got an incredible background there. You're gonna play some piano for us later?
Yeah, the wife is the one who does it. I can't go into the comic art room because my kid's sleeping next door to it. So she suggested the piano room to kind of class the whole thing up.
You've done that.
You're just missing the candelabra. That's the only.
That's true.
I wish my brother George were here.
See, only those of us of a certain age would get that.
Oh, I had to go in the Wayback Machine for that one.
Yes. Let's continue on with your picks, Michael. I figured, rather than leave out the couple extra ones you did, since there's only 3 of us tonight, we'll look at them all.
Okay, great.
We'll move over to this Buscema Palmer Avengers 79 page, splash page, title page here.
Just stunning. And John was just such an amazing artisan. And how often did you see the Avengers gathering by 2 people coming in through the roof? I mean, just an amazingly creative individual. And this was just such a beautiful piece. And I agree with Dan's sign completely. I was surprised this went for only 31.2. That seemed like a 40 to 50 piece to me, easy. And again, it's just, I don't know if it's a reflection of the change in the market, but someone again got a really nice bargain on this piece. These Buscema Palmer pages just all do so well. But if you're getting between 10 and 15 for a panel page, you would expect the splash to be going 50 to 60, not 20 something plus juice.
This was definitely something that should have gone for more. A lot of people who've been around for a while remember when the Avengers 81 splash, which isn't the same thing as this, but I think they're in the same neighborhood, and that wound up going, I think, in the 60s, years and years ago. for whatever reason, and some people think that maybe Iron Man and the Avengers, the classic, isn't as hot as it was when the 81 came to market, and that's the movie buzz and all that other stuff. But regardless, if you look at what the pages go for, a good page, and then you think about how many good splashes there are, this thing shouldn't have gone for a penny under 40, and 50 wouldn't have been unreasonable either. But that 60 result from years ago was a little bit ahead of its time and a little crazy. 50 would have been just great. 40 would have been expected. Someone wound up getting it for 30. It's actually a friend of both of ours, all of ours. So I'm very happy for him. I'm a little sad for the seller. After you take out the auction fees and everything, he should have got walked away with at least 10 more, but it wasn't a speculative night. I don't know. It should have gone for more. I don't know why it didn't. Went
Well,
cheap.
I completely agree. And just as a general question to the two of you, it's like, are there just too many of these freaking big auctions? Because it's like every 3 or 4 weeks we have another, whether it's through Heritage or one of the other auction houses. It almost seems like we're getting 15, 20 of the premier auctions a year, and it's just too many.
It's supply and demand. People have been demanding it, and the supply has come up. Now, based on what I saw on day 3, it seems like there's a real solid floor to this market, and it's very healthy at the 5K mark. I don't see anything that would make the auction houses pull back at this point. I think
No,
if
I
if
agree.
more lots start missing, and then people will be more hesitant to give stuff over, and when the auctions get less stuff, they'll come out with less auctions. It's basic supply and demand at this point. But until a lot of stuff starts tanking, and until they get through all their backlog, because there's a ton of stuff already under consignment, it's not going to stop anytime soon. If there's really a turn in the market, we'll see it in 6 months in the auctions as far as the frequency. But this hot and heavy thing, it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's too many at the end of the day. But the thing is, the consigners keep bringing the art. I mean, there isn't any auction house that's really slowing down. If the opportunity is there to to work with the consigners and make money, I mean, it's just I don't see it slowing down. But are there too many? I mean, gosh, I mean, there feels like there are. There's always another auction going on. It seems like every other week we have another event auction of some kind. And you get the weekly Heritage stuff. You throw in Dueling Dealers every week. I mean, there's just so many buying opportunities all the time. It's
and by the way, the conventions have started up again.
And right, and you have that.
That's true.
Very, very true. Exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, but again, 2 years ago, it didn't matter. We didn't have the conventions. Everybody had a lot more money to spend because they weren't traveling. They weren't going out to shows. They could overpay on some pieces because they were saving money elsewhere. And now we're back into, regular conventions and traveling and less funds to go after. And,
and everything's more expensive than it was 2 years ago. That's a huge factor too.
Yeah,
it all adds up.
That's true. It does. So somebody got a good deal on this one. That's
Definitely.
sure. Now let's switch over to this Bolland cover. Let me click on that.
So I selected this because, to be honest, I could have selected almost any of the Bolland pieces in this auction. The Joker was amazing. The Batman was amazing. This one I'd selected A because it's in color, and B because it has both Batman and the Joker on it. And so I thought, okay, well, I have to choose one. Just as another, Bolland continues to do well in terms of prices, and he should. His work is amazing, and people love it. And it's another rise in everything that's going on. Maybe the rise is slowing down. I noted in this auction there was a Superman annual cover that sold for $28,800. That same cover sold in 2015 for 14,000
On
340.
Comic
So
Link.
no, in Heritage. It
Really?
sold
That was
in,
on Heritage?
yeah, it sold in
I
Heritage.
forget.
The Superman annual is in Heritage, half the price, but that was 8 years ago. You would have expected, because some of these other prices have more than doubled in those 8 years. And Bolland has only doubled. But still, the demand rate remains strong because there's so little of it, especially since he switched over so many years ago to doing digital rather than physical art. So just another great piece and another great artist to talk about is the reason I pegged this one.
Do you think it sold too cheap or just right?
I think just right. It wasn't really a standard DC US book, and so when you remove a lot of the US market, because this was a UK publication, I believe. So I'd never really seen this as a kid growing up or as a teenager, so it wouldn't have meant as much to me emotionally as a Killing Joke page would.
Well,
So
see,
I didn't have the same connection with this as that. So, well, go ahead. Sorry.
but coming back to your point, the Boland is hot, and his Killing Joke stuff is hotter than On Fire. I can't think of anything hotter right now than good Killing Joke stuff. And this is very much an adjacent kind of piece. I think it should have gone for more, just because I know these guys who collect the Jokers and the Batmans, the Boland stuff. I think that the colors didn't do it any help. Everyone loves Boland's little fine detail, the way he does the details and fingers and all these little things. I think the bright colors kind of took away from it. And I do
I'm gonna
believe, I'm sorry.
I'm going to tell you that if the Batman and Joker, the relative sizes of the Batman and Joker had been reversed, I would
Oh, forget it.
completely agree with you. Yeah, then this is a 75 plus type of piece. But and honestly, I didn't notice the Joker the first 2 or 3 times I looked at it. So I think it was one of the things that helped keep the pricing down where it was. But was it a bargain? Yeah, I still think it was a bit of a bargain.
I'll tell you this. I know this piece has moved privately in the past, and anybody who tried to move this in a private deal would be looking to get much closer to 75 than 38. So really, hats off. I'm not going to say it went cheap because it's such an odd piece. It's not a Killing Joke piece. It's kind of like it is what it is. But you could have justified a much higher price. If this thing didn't come to auction, no one was getting this for under 40K. No way.
Agreed. And it's funny you said that as I was thinking, yeah, if it was private, I can't imagine anything under 40. And you said the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Nope, I agree. And there's and we all know that private sales still probably dominate the sales we see at auction houses, right? And I have a few friends who seem to pick up a big piece every other week. It feels like, right? And it's collector to collector, and half the time it's trade. It seems like, but what they're valuing their trade at is pretty strong when they're doing it. But it kind of just goes back to. I think you mentioned it, Michael, just that there is so much artwork changing hands all over the place. I mean, not just at the auction house level, but collector to collector level is equally as strong. And yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I remember when we looked at this piece when Joe was on there too, and one of the things that I think we both said was that it's not like your typical Bolland where there's like great hyper detail everywhere on the page. You've got great strong characters you want to see him drawing, but not a lot of the fine. Yes, next. Okay, see, putting your little Moidoc head on, but yes. All right. I'll keep rolling along here. What do we got next here? Here we go. A first appearance page, right? So this one went for 93,000. Bill Sienkiewicz, of course, First Legion profile page.
I was actually look. I know there are those collectors who are super, super, super into the first appearances. Mm-hmm. And luckily for my pocketbook, I'm not one of those people that I'm overly concerned with, first appearances. But this one shocked me in terms of the price, because this is the highest priced Sienkiewicz piece that Heritage has ever sold. It's higher than Moon Knight covers. It's higher than New Mutants covers. It was, and look, Legion is a cool character and absolutely affiliated with Bill, and has been a TV star. But I was just really surprised that this went for 93,000. 93, including the.
Are you kidding me? I'm the wrong guy to ask about this piece. I mean, I understand the first appearance collectors really go for this stuff. I appreciate how great Sienkiewicz's work is on Moon Knight, and I get it because a lot of first appearance pages don't look all that great. The layouts aren't always ideal. It's very rare that you have something with a strong central image that's a first appearance of a character. So I guess by that metric, I can like wrap my head around it, but I don't get it. I can't. I don't get it. I can't. I can talk about it, but I don't get it. If someone can explain it to me, great. I intellectually get it, but I don't
No,
get it.
I completely agree with you, and I love Bill's work. And this era of his work is where he really separated himself from the Adams school that he had been following in his early Moon Knight stuff, and really went into his more out there, just fantastical type layouts and character designs. And there are those who hated the early Adams stuff and loved this stuff to death. There are people in the other school and people who just love it either way because it's Bill's stuff.
Here's a
But I agree
question.
with you, for that much money. I don't see it.
Do you guys think the price was affected by the fact that, the Legion series that Marvel did was actually kind of good? There's a lot of stuff that they did that tanked. Theoretically, they could come back to this thing. I mean, do you think that maybe the fact that maybe it has some legs as a property in the MCU kind of pushed this a little further? I'm
Well,
just trying to figure it out myself.
it wasn't that's the weird thing. It was a Fox TV program. It was not MCU. So
Okay.
it's MCU adjacent, but we still don't know how much, if any, of the X stuff is ever going to be part of the MCU canon. So, but your point's well taken, which is it was a critically regarded series that I thought was one of the best comic TV shows to have come out by that period. Because it was so new and different and interesting, and the showrunner was, anyway. Yes, so I think that might have been part of it, and there could be someone who was just a huge fan of the TV show that was like, oh my god, here's the first appearance too. That certainly could drive, and for all we know, it could be one of the Hollywood people that was involved with the show that ended up winning this piece.
Well, we'll see if it comes up on CAF or not.
All right,
we'll find
let's
out.
hold our breath.
Yeah, I don't have any feeling either way. I mean, it's obviously a very strong price. It could be a first appearance collector, but at the end of the day, I think that good writing and strong stories and first appearances will always garner more dollars from collectors. In the art market and in the comics world, we see that all the time, right? First appearances in comics usually get, I think that's kind of the mentality with some of these pages is putting extra weight on that part of the storyline if there's a first appearance in it. But again, super strong price for this, and so the seller, did very well on that page. That's for sure.
I agree.
And I would love to have everybody knows I want a Sienkiewicz New Mutants page more than any other Sienkiewicz artwork that I could possibly own. So But moving right along, we got this Byrne and Layton Champions page that went for $15,600.
So I selected this partly because of this page itself. I thought that it was a really strong price for a non-fight type page, non-battle page. It had each of the members of the champions in it, but still, I was seeing those pages on eBay recently where they were, 4 to 6,000, not 15. And so this final price surprised me, but it ties into my bigger point that I gained from this auction, and that's the X-Men pages have, well, this auction aside, as I'm sure Dan will talk about later, the X-Men pages have really, really skyrocketed in the last couple of years in ways that surprised me still. And I'm of the mind that there are a lot of Byrne fans out there from this era of his work that can't afford 60,000 for a really good X-Men page, but can afford 10 to 15 for a really good Champions page or Cap page. That Captain America Dragon Man page, I was in on until the very end because I just loved that era of Byrne's work with Rubenstein. It was just such a great combo for those few issues that they did together on Captain America. But you could also see like there's the Superman pages are going for 10 plus from early in his Superman run. So I think a lot of these alternate Byrnes are really starting to take off more and more price wise, and this was for me the clearest example of that.
Well, I have a couple of strong opinions about Byrne art, but before I drone on, Bill, unless I'm reading it wrong, it looks like Andrew G has outed himself as the guy who
He was
got
the buyer of the prior.
he
Yeah, so
was
this
the
is guys we were
buyer.
talking about it. I didn't see that until we switched over. But
Yeah, dude, put him on. He should be on. Kick me off and put him on.
I've
He's the
made it
guy to
known.
talk to.
I'll invite Andrew on next week, and he can help explain.
All right, I'll
Yeah,
be in the chat. Tell him I'll be in the chat. I'll be here trying to learn. So
exactly.
here's my opinion. I've been following the Byrne market pretty closely. I know the pages that Michael was talking about that showed up on eBay that sold pretty cheaply. There were a couple of Byrne things that seemed to go cheaply at this auction, and some went strongly. I'll say this. It seems to be less about the title right now and the quality of the example. I've seen a bunch of Byrne Champion pages come up to market and sell for 4, but this one has all the characters. Each panel is devoted to them. I'm not saying that this is the be all end all Champions page, but it's the best one I've seen in some time come to market. I could see how someone who really loved the Champions and really liked Layton's inks, and I do too, would be like, okay, this is the example, and this is the one that I would have. Uh, in my head, it's really tough to say that a really nice Champions page is equal to a not so great X-Men 108 page because they sold for about the same amount. But to somebody, uh, this was the choice. And more power to them. At 15K, if they hold on to it long enough, they'll have a treasure.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to get a Byrne, something that wasn't Byrne Uncanny X-Men, I'd be going after something from his Marvel Team Up run with like Dan Green inked him on those, right? I think I'd go up for something like the Tigra issue, maybe, or something. That would be what I'd go after. Although Champions were good, I remember if I had to go for a second title. That'd be what I'd go after. But I bet there's a lot of other collectors that would probably go after his Marvel Team Up stuff too. But no, it's also a good price on this one then. And I never had an issue with Layton's inks on Byrne, but I saw the comment that Kazra made about Byrne's comment that he didn't really like Layton inking his stuff, which is I don't know. I guess I don't get it because I never saw that. I always thought they were okay team. I mean, in their own way. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Speaking
look,
of Layton,
inkers are always a big discussion point, and we could do hours and hours of programming for your channel, Bill, on
That is
inkers.
very true.
because I've had people who have said, you know, they hate the fact that when you look at the Fantastic Four, that Sinnott inked you know, so many issues, and all of this stuff looked the same in the end. You know, it didn't matter if it was Buckler or Buscema or Perez or whoever, that it all, you know, looked the same. And as a younger comic book collector, that was the thing that kept me interested in Fantastic Four. Was it always had a very similar look. It didn't have any kind of these weird shifts in the art suddenly just because a new artist came on. You know, that's an issue or a title where Sienkiewicz was completely overwhelmed in some ways, because, you know, Sinnott has his way of drawing the characters, and that allowed me to actually read those and appreciate those at the time. But, you know, Layton's got his own style, as we see from this, and for whatever reason, I guess John just didn't like how you know, what Bob did over his pencils, even though those of us who are fans of Layton were like, oh no, that was great. That was perfectly lovely combination.
So what do you think of the Marvel Age 4 cover in Layton's work here?
You know, I'm a big fan of what he did with Hercules and the reinvention of Hercules that he went through at that time. And I think that this is a really great example of the Hercules that he featured in his 2 miniseries. And the thing that surprised me, though, is it's Marvel Age. Like, people actually pay real money for Marvel Age covers. That was surprising, you know. But I guess this is, you know, an early example, because this probably came out either at the same time as, or maybe just before one of the 2 miniseries. So, you know, it's early Layton Hercules that everyone loved, and you throw in Spider-Man just for the fun of it, and, you know, it becomes even more desirable as a result. But
Well,
just goes to show that almost any title with the right cover, you know, it's a really fun collectible thing for someone. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Well, Michael, you know I like that Hercules miniseries too. We even did a deal for a page not that long ago.
Yep.
Well, long story short, I bought that cover.
Well, there you go. Even Jason's.
It sold about 2 years ago on Heritage for exactly the same price.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I just didn't have the money to make a grab for it. And like you said, it's Marvel Age. I had this. I bought this for a quarter back when it came out, so it's got the nostalgia, and I love the Hercules. I figured, you know, 2 years ago I should be able to get it cheaper than what it sold for back then. But someone made me throw in a couple of bids. So, you know, it's so crazy because Jason said I should have bought. Jason assumed I didn't buy it because I didn't brag to him. Normally I'll brag to him after an auction. This one, I'm embarrassed I paid so much for this. So I kind of kept it to myself. But when you pulled it up, I was like, okay, I'm outed. I can't just show this to everyone later. So
Well,
what can I say?
I was watching this
wait a
thing
minute.
go live. Sorry,
You just said something funny though. You know, you're embarrassed that you paid so much for it. I mean, but as
But
collectors,
I love it.
don't we do that? We all do that at times, and we probably all feel a sense of shame every once in a while when we know we overpaid for something we really love, but we overpaid for it anyway. It just
Sorry, Jay.
Look, I was watching this live because I had been tracking it, and I thought, wow, I can't believe it's, you know, I think the minute before the auction started live, it was in that 18 to 2200 range or something like that. And so I was like, hey, if this cover stays, you know, low, I'm going to go after it. And I remember them starting it, and suddenly it went from whatever that number was, like 22 to 10 or whatever. I was like, holy crap. That was instantaneous. I'm out.
That's great.
Oops.
Well,
Oh,
congratulations, Dan.
I'm gonna hold it for a while. That's not something to flip. I'll keep. Hey, there's a Spider-Man. It's a vintage Spider-Man cover,
Exactly.
guys. Come on, cut me a
Yeah.
break.
I'm with you on that. Let's see
But it's
here.
got Skippy. That's the most important thing.
All right, so this is one of your extra ones, but might as well take a look at it too. I mean, it's a $156,000 Watterson Calvin and Hobbes daily. Not many of these out there on the market, so so you knew it was going into the six figures. Just the only question was how high it was going to go. So at 156.
These things continue to amaze me, partly because more and more of them have come out, and you would expect, oh, as more and more come out, that'll, at least stabilize the price. No, the
Are you
prices
kidding?
keep going up and up
How
and up.
many how many have come out really? I mean, I know some have come out, but how many are really floating around there? You
Absolutely.
know?
In comparison, the percentage of strips that he did that are out there is minuscule. Absolutely right. But it was just interesting, because even with the fading, that doesn't bother anybody. It's like, I don't care. This is Calvin and Hobbes. I'm going to spend what I'm going to spend because, like you said, how many of them are there?
No, you can't be choosy with these things. And honestly, this was always one of my favorite gags. I don't know if it comes from growing up in the Northeast, but these ones and the snow goons when he would mess with the snowmen, those were like my favorite
The
ones if I
best.
could pull them in. So,
Although I still love, and I know I'll never get it because even if it were to come out, it would be prohibitively expensive. But the one where he's calling his dad to tell him a story and the father starts telling him about the evil patent infringer, and it's like, yes, I have to have this strip.
That's the one for you, Michael.
well, look, no doubt those things are expensive, but they should be expensive. When a
Yeah,
Calvin and Hobbes, much less you get two of them in an auction, you know it's going to be a good auction. That was a jewel. I have no idea who won this one, but whoever won it got a wonderful, wonderful piece. I won't say they got it cheap. They did not,
no,
but they got something
totally agree.
amazing, and it'll hold its value. People are always there's never going to be enough of these, and the guys who collect these are very well heeled. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's not a bad call to buy it, but pricey, sure.
absolutely. But just
Oh,
beautiful.
I closed an extra window there. I'm sorry. I did that was not on purpose. It was a Barry Windsor Smith I missed out on there. Do you want me to go
Well,
dig that one up? Or do you want to talk
I'll do it real fast, it was that unpublished Barry Windsor Smith Marvel
Oh,
Presents
right. Yeah,
cover,
that went for 35.
36,000, which, and I looked up the original cover and they're really similar. But that just surprised me because just like 2 years ago, there was an unpublished cover that sold for 102. And suddenly this was, a third of that price. Um, So I'm not sure what was going on there, but that seemed to me like another good bargain for someone that was had. So
And that other
I don't.
unpublished one was pretty strong. But yeah, I agree. I thought I was going to go for a little bit more than that. But never know.
It's not like I have a great feel for the market, but image-wise, the other one that sold much higher. I've heard some people say that the inks on the piece that just got sold were, I don't know who did the inks, or there was an assistant. I don't know the background. I'm not a Barry Windsor Smith expert, but it's definitely one of those pieces that was very speculative coming into the auction. There's a big range of unpublished stuff. If something is hot enough, people really just don't seem to care if it's on vellum, if it's published, if it's colored in. People have become more forgiving about a lot of condition issues if it's the right piece. I think if that just looked a teeny bit prettier, maybe people would have gone crazy, but uh, people didn't feel like being speculative on that one.
yeah,
You know, it's tough to do at that price point.
that's true. That's true. It's easy when there's one less zero in front of it, or I mean behind it. So yeah,
Exactly. All right. So this now the last piece from you, Michael, was this Koblish wraparound with was it 4 covers, essentially two distinct
right. So
wraparound pieces.
wraparound covers for issues 7 and 8 of Fantastic Four. So celebrating, the anniversary. And according to the description, includes, I think it was 711 different characters that were all of the characters who've ever appeared in any Fantastic Four issue ever. And it was, I was surprised for a few reasons. First, that it went unsold. It was the only unsold piece
It had a
in that auction.
reserve of 42 grand, you
Well, it had a
know?
35 plus juice. So yes, it had a high reserve. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to comment on, which was, for a piece that is less than a year old, I have to imagine that that was a somewhat unrealistic expectation to be met. Second, it once again shows what Heritage has always said, which is when you put a reserve on it, it doesn't get the bids the same way as when you don't. And who knows what this would have done if it had been free and open and people didn't have to sit there and think going in, oh, I have to start at 42.
Well, it's an amazing piece, like you said, the scale of it, the ambition of this for a comic cover is almost unheard of. So I think that I can see this thing being worth like 20, just
Yeah.
because it's so insane, even though the artist doesn't have that kind of history. But at the risk of repeating myself, the word for today's auction is speculation. He was Whoever owned that piece, I'm just assuming it's the artist, but it could be anybody who has that piece, brought it forward and said, look at what this thing is, speculate with me and say 40K, sure, why not? I'm not that guy, but there have been people who have come up over the last couple of years when everything was on fire who were like that. So
Yeah.
I don't blame them, because odds are Koblish is never doing another piece like that and keeping his sanity. So
Well, right.
more
And
power to him. But I would strongly recommend anybody who loved it, and I'm looking at you, Lovitz, to just reach out after the auction. This thing is still available. Someone out there make a practical offer. This thing should go to a home. It's great. It's
It
just, who
is.
the heck's going to pay 42 grand for it? Get out of here. Come on.
Well, that's the thing that Bill and I were talking about before we started today, and that was, Scott is a great guy. I get along with him real well, and he does some amazing art. But if this was Art Adams, or if this was George Perez,
hundreds of thousands,
Right.
hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
So
Not 100,000. 100,000 wouldn't be enough.
So I agree with you in terms of the speculation element, which is speculate with me works for some people, for some artists, but not for all artists. And so that's why I pointed this out. A, because of its amazingness and the sheer chutzpah to agree to do this.
Yeah,
but,
we don't see reserves on auctions too much at Heritage. That was hardly ever, right? So it was an interesting one to watch anyway. This was one that I was curious where it was going to end, so it was on my watch list too. But no, I'm with you. At the end of the day, you got to try what you're going to try, right? If it is the artist or not, that person, maybe they're going to hold on to it a little bit longer till it gets where they want it to be.
Yeah.
But that's their insurance. Next. Yes, exactly.
So that's my list.
So I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to grab Dan's
Fun list.
Yes. One list down. Let's see here.
I like your style, Mike. I like your collection. I like what you like. No two ways about it.
All right. Let's see.
Right back at you, Dan.
Somebody said they can listen to Dan talk for hours. Is it? I don't
blah,
know.
Blah, blah. Yaddy, yaddy, yada.
Who said that? Sorry, I got too many tabs open here. I'll get there. Yeah, this is I've got so many things I've got to talk about tonight that I have at least.
I'll keep mine short. I'll knock mine out quick.
Oh, here we go. I got it. I found it. But anyways, yeah, isn't this fun, everybody? We don't, it's not the usual crew. We're having a good time tonight.
Thumbs up.
Everybody, yeah, Dan would play the piano.
The usual crew doesn't have fun then.
That's what Dino's signs are missing. Does Dino have a sign that says hit the thumbs up button?
No, he did not include
that. A Wallworthy. I should have pulled that out for the Fantastic Four. And look, it's got Bill.
It does. It definitely has
Look,
me on that
I
one.
say thee nay.
Dino definitely finds ways to keep us smiling throughout any show that he's on, and
All
that's
right,
and that's
this
thanks to you,
is.
Dan.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well,
For
dude,
goodness sake.
I know you like Dino more than you like me. He puts in way more. He puts in way more work into these things than I do. I mean, you give me a time, I'll show up. But Dino actually makes paddles and does post production. Which, by the way, if you're watching, thank you so much for hooking me up, Dino. And sorry you couldn't be on here tonight. Anyway, this is not a particularly important page to me, but when I saw it come at the auction, it just seemed familiar, like I've seen it before. So I did a little digging and I found out that this thing sold for a little over 1100, I think, at the last Heritage auction. And if you check the archives, you'll see it also sold 9 years ago for $175 more. I just thought it'd be interesting because we've seen so many pieces, you know, either blow you away with the result or really disappoint. I figured put one on the list that lets you know a lot of stuff hasn't gone anywhere. A lot of these things are very niche markets. You see new people come, very few people go. But a lot of stuff in my collection, and I'm sure there's a few pieces in Michael's collection too, worth exactly the same amount that we paid for it a decade ago.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, so check it out. This is what a chunk of my collection is like. Not the Magnus robot, but just stuff that sells for what it sells for. And it's a decent page, It's a old robot fighter page.
That's Russ Manning. I
Yeah.
mean, what's not to love at the end of the day? But I agree. But then there's stuff, you look at this and everybody knows I love elementals, and there was an elementals page that came up like 3 months ago that went for like 3 times what it should have gone. So sometimes you get something that just shouldn't outperform, and and you have enough people that love it that pushes it into a stratosphere, in my opinion. And then you have a piece like this that just doesn't have the same type of audience, right, Dan? And it's just it's kind of been flat for 9 or 10 years. And I agree with you. I have pieces in my collection that I know are very much like that. They're never going to be worth more than, I'd rather hold on to them than ever try to sell them, because I'd probably back to that shameful feeling that, when you sell it, you're like, you're going to feel terrible one way or another when it goes. But that's good that you point this out, because normally we wouldn't look at something like this and analyze it that closely, but I'm glad you did.
All right.
All right. So next, is that what we're thinking? Let's
That's what
see
we're thinking.
here. All right. Now we've got a Tom Sutton Fighting Marines cover that went for just over $1,500.
Yeah, it seemed pretty cheap. Look, anything coming up at Heritage Signature Auction seems cheap. If it goes for 1,500, if it goes for 1,500, the people at the auction are supposed to separate it out. It's not even supposed to show up on day three if it's at that price point. So it's not a bad deal at all, and it's one of those things that I don't expect to be hot. But this was one of those old Charlton ones, right? There's a 50-50 chance it's oversized. It's great detail. It's a wonderful war cover. And like with the robot fighter, it is what it is. Don't expect to double your money. But if you're a comic book fan and you have comic book covers, here's a great comic book cover, you know? Somebody should be very happy to have this in their collection, even if it isn't a big time piece, or even if you didn't notice it in the last auction.
Yeah, and Sutton's another underrated artist that that I'm always surprised seeing some of the prices on that Sutton manages to get, because I loved so much of his work, like during Doctor Strange days and
Mhm.
things like that. So it always surprises me to see some of these amazing pieces and just languishing at a lower number like that.
Agreed. Well, I think war artwork just tends to not have that same appeal, right? Even a Kubert page isn't going to knock your socks off at the end of the day. I mean, almost any of us could say we could afford an average Kubert war page, but try to get a Brave and the Bold page from it, it's impossible. So I think the genre has a little bit to do with that, but it is a fantastic cover, and I've always liked Sutton's work too, but to me it's probably a genre issue more than anything. But a great
Yeah.
example. And like you said, Dan,
No.
I mean, somebody's got to be really happy to pick this up at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
I'm clicking the X to close this window. Don't you worry. Paulo Rivera next. And I think were there 3 paintings by Paulo in this auction at least?
There were 2 other paintings, and they were published covers. And in my head, I'm saying, if I want to chase a Paulo Rivera piece, I'm a published guy, I'm a vintage guy. Why don't I get one of these covers that are like 15 to 20 years old? But if you look at the technique on this is so much more sophisticated than what he was doing 10 years prior. I find this piece very immersive. Great textures, great shading. I almost hear the wind when I look into it, and it's big. It's big too. Uh, I'm just not the guy who bids on this stuff seriously. For a few grand, I would love to just buy something pretty, but you see, I spend too much money on nostalgia, and this just didn't fit in. But if I were a newer collector, if I weren't so stuck in the past, this is the kind of thing I would love to bid on. It went for a little over 10K. Uh, it should have gone for more. I wish I bid on it. I should have bid on it. Somebody's got this thing. It's great. It's 14 by 20, I think. And just you'd be hard pressed to find a prettier Rivera. It's great.
I love
Agreed.
Paulo's work. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you because I think the other 2 pieces went for around 5 or 6. And
Way too cheap.
one was like,
Way too cheap.
yeah. I mean, they were both really nice pieces. But I mean, it's Hulk Wolverine at the end of the day. What can you say? But Paulo's amazing, wall worthy, absolutely. If it doesn't end up on a wall, then somebody's doing collecting comic art wrong. So congrats to whomever got that one. Now we've got a crying baby Glenn Fabry preacher cover.
I
12,600.
I have been fascinated with watching these preacher covers roll out. I was, for years and years, on a desperate hunt for a good preacher cover. And with the exception of 2 or 3 of them, they were all in one collection that I think you could find on CAF. I don't know if they're still up there. But basically, one guy had soaked up 70 out of 74 covers out there. And it took so much wheeling and dealing to finally get my hands on one. I got the Preacher trade paperback 1 cover. Uh, but I've been watching these things come out, and they've been releasing the ugliest covers, like the villain ones and the deformed ones and the ass face ones. This is the first one that I've seen with Jesse Custer and Cassidy. I mean, yes, it's a screaming baby one, but it has the main characters in it. This is the best one that's come out so far,
Mhm.
and it goes for 12. I've seen examples go for 10, 8, 6, whatever. I'm very excited to see if we keep getting better ones coming up. I think this is going to be great. We're really establishing a market here by dumping these things out little by little. Um, Honestly, I've been tempted to bid on a couple myself, but I've got 2 now, and it's enough for me. But you're really watching these things find their footing. I don't think you're ever going to find preacher covers any cheaper than you find them at these auctions that come up. If you've ever been interested in a favorite preacher and you find an example that isn't too bad looking, this is definitely your chance, or maybe next auction. But keep in mind, the good ones are going into the teens, and when a really good one comes out, well, we'll see what happens then. But
But you're not going to
preacher
be a
covers,
player in it because you've got your 2 already, right?
unless it's really nice.
Right, because you could let one go. That's what Michael did earlier with the Perez Marvel 2-in-1. He had a better Perez piece, representative piece, so he let one go. So you never know. Never say never, right, Dan?
Never say never.
All right. So now we've got a Power Pack cover. Issue 29 from 1987 went for $9,000.
Now, maybe someone can tell me if that was cheap or not, because you take a 1987 Black Spider-Man cover and tell me it's less than 10 grand, and it looks pretty decent. I'll be like, I'd be all over it, on paper, conceptually. It's
Yeah,
a
with the
strong,
Hobgoblin too. It's like,
it's
Mhm.
a very strong villain image. It's got a lot of good energy, but the central figures are two 12-year-olds or 11-year-olds or whatever they are, two prepubescent boys fighting it out. And I wonder, I'm not going to call it a power pack discount, but the cover to 29 sold in the same event. Strong villain image, with the heroes in costume, kind of defeated. Not really a very heroic cover, but that went for 3,600. So either power pack covers aren't worth money, or this thing should have been more. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand the power pack market, but I will say this cover should have been 15 to 20, just on what it is on paper.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow the pack market very much, but I mean, you've seen a
It
few
was
covers.
published. It was published,
But
bootlegger.
This was published.
But I think it goes back to being a nostalgia thing where if you were someone who was collecting black costume Spider-Man fighting Hobgoblin, you probably weren't interested in a comic book about 8 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah, but they
And it
kept
goes-
rolling guest stars in every other issue. They found ways to get people to buy it. The
Yeah.
circulation, it wasn't a hit, but it was around. It was there. Well, whatever. I'm the guy who buys Marvel Age covers with Hercules on them. So what the hell do I know?
but this could come back to where, I mean, storytelling and the comics themselves and the stories behind them are what kind of fuels some of the higher prices. So even when you throw in black costume Spidey with Hobgoblin, it's not enough to pull people in, because it's not a book that any of us read back in the day. It didn't get us to buy the issue off of the shelves when it was out there either. I mean, they were fun. I went back and read them after the fact when I could get them at the bargain bin stuff, but never bought one.
I think
Knew
I
it.
think that's that's an overgeneralization because I was collecting Powerback at the time.
You were? All right. Well, I can't speak for all of us then.
I was a Marvel zombie. It's true.
Okay.
I
My
bought
kids
this
love Power
issue.
Pack today.
I bought this issue because it had Black Spider-Man on it.
Well, then why didn't you bid it up then? Well, I mean, you this is your piece. You could have told us what held you back. So exactly, was it Power Pack?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Power Pack.
There we go. I think we've answered.
What held me back? I didn't want to own it. That's what held me back. Next.
You have enough black costumes, Spider.
Stop pressuring me to buy stuff.
That's right. Hey, Jason does a fine job already doing that, right?
He
So we got
really
here.
does. He's not
Yeah.
going to be happy until we all have amazing collection and empty bank accounts.
It's a
So-
strategy of his to suck money out of everybody else's pockets, so that when the right piece comes up, he's the only one holding the cash to buy it. Sorry, Jason, I've let your secret out. But hey, here we have a Byrne Man of Steel issue 2 page that went for $11,000, and you were an underbidder on this one, huh?
I got a nice Superman 1 page a couple years back for about 5, and I was really hoping that it would stay closer to 5 than 10. But it's a great, super early. Man of Steel 2 would have been the second book that Byrne did, reinventing Superman. It's the introduction of Superman in Metropolis. Nobody knows who he is yet, and it's a great characterization page. The big blue Boy Scout. It's all here, and there's a nice strong figure of him too. I was like, boy, I would love to upgrade my example with this. And it seemed strong, like Michael was talking about earlier with the champions page. A strong example kind of moves beyond the title it's with if it's really loved, and somebody loved this enough to go into 5 figures. I kind of regret not throwing another bid, especially when I realized I bought a Marvel Age cover and I let this thing go. So, This one, I'm sad to let this one pass. I just didn't want to pay, but whoever got a wonderful, wonderful Burn Superman example. Really, whoever bought it did a great job.
Yeah, can't.
Jewel of the auction, in my eyes.
Yeah, and these, what 4 or 5 years ago, you could have got these for around 2,000, $2,500. It's like the Burn She-Hulk pages have gone up 3 or 4 times in the last 3 or 4 years too. So it's the market's finally matured on these, and it didn't surprise me that it went over 10. That's for sure.
Mm,
I know, I get you. But sorry, you can't win them all, Dan. Can't win them all.
no,
All right, now what do we
this
got here? Tell me
this
about this one.
Oh God, I remember it was San Diego, maybe 2015, 2016. Mitch Itkowitz shows up with some of these color guides to Dark Knight Returns. He's charging $5,000 for them, but they were good examples. They were splashes, they were action pages, they were really nice examples. And a whole bunch of us were like, that much for color guides? But let me just say, I understand there's more to it now. As the years have gone on, I understand that there's a real painting process that's involved. And I've inadvertently offended some people by calling these things color guides because they're paintings, they're what you saw published, they're actually hand done works. But technically, by definition, that kind of makes it a color guide. And I never collected them, but I have watched this market mature. I've seen people get on board with this. And this thing wound up selling for almost $15,000, I think, which was a very impressive return because these things have been inching up. Like I said, they started at 5. I saw them sell for 7. I saw them sell for 8. Now I've seen one sell for 15. At this price level, you probably would be better off saying, I don't need 4 color guides. I'd rather just get a page from the book. It wouldn't be a great page, but I'm an art guy. So to me, 4 of these paintings versus one halfway decent page, it's not a comparison at all. But I am not the market. And there are people who love this series, love this art, and God bless them. They're willing to outbid each other on auction day. More power to you guys. My hat's off to you.
Hey, it's the color guide market's hot these days. You know that. Talk to Sean Rutan; he'll tell you. Um, but again, yes, this is not a color guide because it was published from the original colors. So, like you said, and I get it. 10 years ago, when you see these comes out, it was just like those Adam Hughes pieces where where they had the acetate layer with just the black on it, and then it was the underneath was painted. And you looked. I remember looking at those, thinking, who'd want to own one of those, right? Because that's not what I want. But now that people are they're collecting them now. So it is what it is. Let's move on from this one before we get into any trouble. But back to a Terry Austin and John Byrne piece here. This one went for a lot less than I was thinking. But what were you expecting out of this one, Dan?
Bargain, bargain of the night. Bargain, bargain, bargain of the night. Bargain of the night. From X-Men 108, Byrne's first issue. It didn't have anything happening on it really special. I mean, it has a lot of effects, it has a lot of line work, but you're not seeing much happen with the characters. So I think a lot of people who are in the market for a Burn X-Men page, or maybe would put in a second or third example, really didn't give this the time of day. And when it came up at auction, a whole bunch of us were just stunned, uh, caught flat-footed, I should say, to watch this thing close at 15. I think this thing should have been 25. You could have argued that it could have been 35. It's a Burn X-Men page. It's got a lot of energy. It's a very historic issue. But the content itself isn't a blowaway kind of thing. Uh, Bottom line is, it was great.
At that
And
number,
a friend of ours
I'd
won it.
much rather own that Champions page than this. So
Well, I'm in the camp that I would take this over the Champions page. No question, but we
I
can't
would
agree on everything.
because
yeah,
I can't get any of the burn uncanny pages that I really want. I would take this as a consolation, being the first burn uncanny, even though it doesn't. What is Professor X is on this one, right? So that's about all I can afford. But I'd be happy about this. I actually like the early burn Austin run. Those first like 5 to 8 issues. I always just remember them fondly. That's probably about when I got first turned on to burn was in those issues. So yeah, I mean, I'd take any example, but yeah, I thought this one given the fact that we know where the burn market on Uncanny is today, right? Where typically you're not touching a page for under 50, a decent page nowadays. To see anything go under 25 is a kind of a head scratcher. But again, it's like you said, content, right? Professor X isn't enough to have moved the needle on this one, but historically, I would have been happy to take it. Not enough Cyclops. Okay, I agree with you on that one, Marcus. Not enough Cyclops. Now over to George Perez here. The JLA1 cover went for $26,400.
Now, you're the Perez expert, Michael. That looked like it was very expensive to me. Just coming from the 2001 era, I mean, I appreciate the quality of the image is so strong. It's a beautiful kind of wall piece. It's one and done and all that kind of stuff. But you can see the style. Is that the price? Is that the price now for this year? Is this era graduated, or is that just for this one example? Straighten me out.
I was taking a look at some of the historic numbers and where the Wonder Woman covered numbers come in, even the current stuff. And my problem with this piece was that it was from a mini series that I didn't care about. That was some really stupid thing to try to reset the Justice League. So they did Justice JL fill in the blank, Justice League of Aliens, Justice League Atlantis, Justice League whatever. And it was like, oh, so, and he did none of the interiors, just did the covers. So for me, it was like, okay, it's a pretty Justice League, but is it 26,000 pretty? For me, no. I think that was 10,000 too high. But
I think the context you're holding it in with the other stuff that was coming out at the time just wasn't being really taken to heart by the bidders. One thing that Dino gave me his Falcon card. And if you see here, you see, even though it's not nostalgic and I think it's the wrong era for this price, it really does tick the boxes for somebody who's in it for a superior Perez example. No,
absolutely. And if you look at what those two Justice League covers did in January, which were two of the best Justice League covers, neither one of them was a piker. And those are, 6 figures.
Yeah.
Then, hey, I can pick up something for a fifth of that, a tenth of that. And I get all the heroes. And then I agree with you completely. It's, if you were sitting there saying, I want to have one really good Justice League by Perez. Yeah. Here you go. That's not going to completely break your bank. For me personally, I don't love this era of George's art style. I'm with
you. I think
2000 was better.
Look, I think Crisis on Infinite Earths was his absolute peak. So the 2000s era isn't really my thing, but when you take our context, our mutual context out of it and just kind of judge it as a piece, look at previous sales, it doesn't look so crazy. But to you and me, it seemed like a little pricey, right?
Absolutely. Can I understand someone paying something like this amount for this? I can understand it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in line to try to be one of the, in that line to pick this one up, but I can certainly understand this. And Nick's right. It might have been around the JLA Avengers era, but
it would. I think it would have been right before it, just right before it. But so what?
There was something better
It's
about the
not
JLA
JLA
Avengers
Avengers.
movie.
I'm sorry, Nick. It's not JLA Avengers.
All
You
right,
know,
all right.
like Michael was saying, it's a little mini series.
And for me, the thing that
Next.
always just the final thought on for
Sorry.
me when it comes to George, I want to collect a cover that he actually drew the comic inside, and for me that's one of the big disconnects as to why this was interesting. But anyway, next.
All right. What do we have next here? Jack Kirby and let's see, what is it? Oh, Tales of Suspense, 83 page.
That's right. Well, I just thought this was a great. I think you could teach a class off of this page on Jack Kirby and his storytelling. You've got 5 out of the 6 panels with incredibly dynamic posing. The second panel is so-so. Anybody could have drawn panel number 2. But 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the way he twists the body, the energy, this is Kirby showing everybody how it's done. If you look at the other art from the 60s, I thought this was a very good Kirby page, a good Kirby Cap page. I think if a dealer had it, they would be asking for something in the 30s for it, because it really has impact, and just between us, I won this one too. Na 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 na. It was one of those things where I didn't need the example. I already had an example, but it wound up going for 22. If I can get a great 2-up Kirby Cap page for 22, yeah, I'll do that. So
No, you were definitely a winner in more than one senses on this. So.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Now, let's
Now,
go
would you have
next.
gone a lot higher for it, or did you go? Were you kind of?
I won it on a cut bid.
Okay, all right.
Like I said, I already have a Kirby example. I actually have the splash to this story,
Oh, sweet.
which has Cap big upside down from an exploding plane. I didn't need this. I didn't need this, but
You're trying to complete the book, right?
well, look, just if you guys are willing to sell me prices at discounted rates, I will reassemble the book.
All right.
This one was definitely below retail, I think.
No, well, you got a good buy on here. It's a great piece, twice up, 6-panel layout from Kirby. I mean, the only thing better is a 4-panel layout.
And there was another page from Suspense 75 that wound up selling for like $500 difference, and it was him talking to Batroc for half the page. This seemed cheap. When I look at the other Kirby's, when I see what Kirby Cap is going for, it seemed cheap. But people tell me I have old man taste, so what do I know?
He says, sitting in front of the grand piano.
Exactly. Sipping a lemonade. All right. So congrats, Dan. Very good. Next piece. We got 2 more here to look at from Dan. We've got another Jack Kirby piece. This is an Avengers 5 page. Let me get here.
Yeah. So here's another Kirby Cap. This one winds up going for like about 39, something like that. And I'm told that this is the first time that Cap's shield returns to him from a throw, which makes it a first appearance, a first something. Maybe a first collector found something in it. Because I'll say, these Avengers pages, these early Avengers page, 40 is pretty strong. I think that it's not like this is twice as good, but it also is very much a statement on the Kirby market, because this was actually owned by a friend of mine who, I don't know, he probably bought it 12 years ago for a little over 10, and he sold it maybe 6 years ago for a little over 15. I mean, that was supposed to be impressive numbers. Watching it jump up to 40, like I said, old man taste. I didn't expect this stuff to keep trucking like this, but it's a great example. There's some history to it. Technically, I guess it's Cap's third appearance, and there's never been any art from Avengers 4 that came up. So I thought it was interesting pulling this up to contrast it with the piece that I bought,
Hmm.
because this piece has a little history. It's an Avengers thing, but you know, the suspense page had a lot of prettiness. So that's why I pulled it up. Man, I found my
Oh.
next panel. I don't want to talk about Kirby Cap all night.
All right. What was the last piece? Oh, that's right. It was the apparel.
Oh, yes. This one, honestly, when I was watching this live at the auction, I was like, I don't get it. And then I stopped and started walking through it. And I was like, well, how many Aparo Aquaman covers are there? And
A
how
lot.
does this, quite a few, right? How many
Yeah.
do you think there are?
Oh, probably a couple dozen.
Right.
Right? This is one of the better ones.
True.
I've when I see them come up, they don't go for as much as they went for auction day. My first impression was it was very expensive. But going back to Dino's thing, it really is an Aparo Aquaman, a large central figure. He's fighting a pretty good supervillain. If it's not Black Manta, this is as good as you could do outside of the primary villain. Um, if someone was in the market for a one and done, I'd say this is a very nice cover. I only heard of these things hitting this price point when a buddy of mine started collecting apparel, and I started learning a little bit more about apparos. So I think that this is going to be a great addition to someone's collection. I thought the price was a little bit strong, but as long as you're not being speculative about it and trying, as long as you're not planning on bringing this back to market in 6 months, I think you'll have done pretty well in the long term. Not because it was bought cheaply, but just because looking back over it, there really aren't many better examples that you could get. I try to get out of my own head on what I like, what I don't like, and try to see it as an example. This is kind of like that Justice League of America cover, the Perez one, where I
Yeah.
look at it and go, I wouldn't pay for that, but
But it
is
makes sense.
is it the right is it the right creator? Is it the right character? Is everyone big? Are they wearing the right costumes? This ticks all those boxes. So this is something I was like, what? And then I'm like, yeah,
No, I completely agree because it surprised me when it went as high as it did. Um, even though it didn't go like crazy high in comparison to other apparel covers, it still went for a stronger number. Wouldn't expect it to do better than some of the Batman Brave and the Bold covers, for instance, but it did. Um, that being said, this is an Aquaman cover that I remember, and you're absolutely right. It's one of the most memorable of the Aparo Aquaman covers. And if you're a JLA fan, if you're an Aquaman fan, or just if you're an Aparo fan, this does tick so many of the right boxes that it
mm,
makes sense that someone who saw this, loved it, and had the connection to it, you know, got a great got a great piece for a good price. I'm not going to say it's a bargain. I'm not going to say they overpaid, um, but yeah, it's a really really great example
yeah,
for the right collector.
fun
I don't
cover.
know the apparel market at all, unfortunately, but no, it's a really nice piece. You got me
Yeah,
there. And Jason says there were some private sales that support that number, so that's good. Bob McCann says it's a fantastic example. All right, I mean you can't go wrong, right? If this is what you were looking for as a collector, it's a great example, and clearly there were enough people to drive it up over 30. So there you go.
no, it was a good auction. Look, I got to say, people who have jumped in the hobby maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago and bought real heavy with the idea that they could flip into this year, this auction isn't supporting that. But when you look at the breadth and width of everything that was at this auction, you see there's still a lot of spots that are hot, a lot of strong results. And even with hundreds and hundreds of lots, everything was still mostly hitting their numbers. I don't think it's a speculator's market anymore, which I think is good for us collectors. I think it'll give us more of a chance, but let's face it, there's a lot of material coming out. We're all getting auction fatigue. It's going to be a wacky 2023, but I'm still going to be following the heritage auctions. Uh, Let me just thank you, Bill, for inviting me on, and let me apologize to everyone watching. I didn't mean to take so long doing this. We spent too long going over these things. I hate when these things go too long, and I'm afraid
I don't
we
think
did
anybody
that
was
tonight.
complaining, Dan. No, this is fun. It was good to have a different crew on here this time around. I think it gives a different perspective on things, which we don't really get when we always have the same, group out there. No, this is good. I think it was refreshing to have both of your opinions here, and you both were buyers. Michael, you were a seller in this one as well, and so yeah, I mean that's good. I mean, typically when we're hearing from the other guys, most of them are buyers, and not many of them are selling, right? Well, I guess Mike sold a few things in the last couple, but either way, it's like so I like the fact that we had you guys in here. I would have liked to have another collector in here, but then it would have went a couple hours. But no, this was fun, and we got to see that piano. So next time you have to have your wife play for us.
I will request that. I won't get it, but I will request
I was
it.
going to say, I'm sure she wouldn't want to spend 90 minutes tickling the ivory.
Oh, she isn't spending 90 seconds with you guys. I'm telling you right now.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I sincerely appreciate you stepping up and doing this tonight. And I guarantee you we will have you back on to do it again in the future.
No,
It's
that'd be
been
great.
lovely. It's been lovely. Again, Dino apologizes for not making it. I'm sure he wanted to be here. He loves this stuff.
He was here in spirit, and his cards are here. Yes.
As long as the cards make it.
I'm glad the substitute legion could come through for you. So
Yes.
Thank you both. All right.
Bye, guys.
Well, I will bid you adieu. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. So I've got James. No, nobody knows him as Jim. It's James in the green room tonight. But I'm going to leave him there for just a few minutes while I queue something up here, because I actually got a package in the mail today, and I didn't bring it into my office. But I've got a couple shorts I can play, so I can run over and get that, because I was going to open up some packages while James was doing his bit. In a few minutes. So what do I got here? There was a couple things I could show, but I'm going to show this. Where in the world is Bob Layton? I got some stuff from him today. It's only a couple minutes long. This is he didn't have a lot of time in Copenhagen this morning to give us a long segment, but I think the next one we get from him will have a bit more meat to it. But this is Bob on the street. And he's got a few things to complain about, but I think he's overall happy to be in Copenhagen earlier today. So I'm going to play that, and when I come back, James Siegel will be on with me, and we'll be doing a poll for next month's sketchbook. So here is Where in the World is Bob Layton?
Hey Cass, it's me. Yeah, I made it to Copenhagen. No thanks to my friends at Air France. Anyway, we're gonna have to cut this week's segment short. I have a conflicting engagement. You guys need to have a better time for your show anyway. 4 in the morning my time. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm here in Copenhagen. You can see in the background there. I made it. Even though I wound up in Norway for 23 hours, don't even ask. Anyway, I'll be back on next week in full snark mode, and I've got a treat for you, because I'll be in my Airbnb by then, and we can probably do it live for the first time in a while. So anyway, keep following me out there, guys, and I'll talk to you next week.
Well, it looks like here I am lounging on the beach in Copenhagen, but nothing could be further from the truth.
as you'll see, I'm sitting here, and they have beach parties on the street. And here you go. They do crazy things here, but I kind of like it.
So there you go, Bob on the streets of Copenhagen, and he that one slide in the middle that you could never read because there was just a lot of copy on it. He will be at a store called Fantask, and I think it's on Saturday at noon Copenhagen time. But it's like the oldest comic shop around, right? It was what was it? It says it was founded in 1971. So Bob will be there, signing autographs, shaking hands, kissing babies, you name it. He'll be doing all of that. But yes, we're going to keep doing these regular. Where in the world is Bob Layton? I don't even know where he will be next week. But hey, I've got James in the green room, so let me bring James in here. He could have brought himself in, I think. Hey, he's got a Cisco shirt on. Whoa, I didn't know we were going to. I should have been wearing my Coca-Cola shirt.
Oh, hey, Bill, what's up? I almost butted in on Dan and Michael.
You have the power.
I was actually, I know. It would have been a slight awkward transition, but I was actually kind of upset that they didn't discuss my HA win.
Which was
so.
What was that?
I'm gonna let you discuss it right now, and you tell me what you think.
Oh, see, hey, click on the image so we can see it bigger. This is Adam Warren piece, right?
Sorry, it's on a slide.
Oh, that's all right. It's a slide. Okay. Adam Warren, what did it go for? 2,280. That seems cheap for an Adam Warren. I mean, how often do those things come up?
They don't.
They don't. That's I've always wanted to get an Adam Warren piece in here. What is it? Is it painted? What is it?
Yeah, it's painted Deadly Pair. I've never read the series, but I wanted an Adam Warren cover, and it's hilarious. So.
Well, congrats. That seems far too cheap, right? I mean, no, that's a steal. That's an absolute steal.
It's Falcon. It's the bargain of the day. We're going to go with all the signs.
Is that the proper costume that you want Deadly Pair in? I have no idea either.
I mean, wouldn't you?
You're right. It ticks all the boxes. Dina would tell us that. But wow, that's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Oh, I got the background for the OAX.
And that's backwards.
I know. And you can't see the date. Can you see the date now?
I can see Megacox backwards.
Oh, it's backwards?
Yeah, everything's backwards. What's going on with that?
It's so my screen shows it backwards.
There we go.
There you go.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful. I can't wait for that show to come about.
I told you we were going to do a limited edition unofficial T-shirt, and it's going to be fantastic.
Can't wait to see it. Yeah, I'm surprised Marcus hasn't asked if that Deadly Pair was airbrushed or not. But
he said it was a color guide.
Oh, he did? Oh, Jason's saying, is that a color guide?
Nah, he stole Marcus's joke.
Oh, man. Everybody steals Marcus's jokes. The Megacox. You got that right. So you're here because we need to pick a topic for next month. Yeah.
So we're going to do it this way. Again, you're going to have your package openings. You're going to open your package live on air. And but during your package opening, guys, I've got a couple topics, but I'd like you guys to again do suggestions for the July theme. And then when Bill's done, playing with his packages, we will go ahead and do the CAF July vote. And it's funny, it's the panel for Monday, I think features only one returning veteran. We've got 3 newbies. I think we got a couple brand new to YouTube newbies too.
Channel. Okay.
Yeah. So it should be fun. Hopefully we haze them pretty well, and then we'll see if they come back. So,
man, just don't get me into any legal trouble when you haze them. All right, don't embarrass them too much.
Yeah, I won't. Speaking of legal trouble, go ahead and whip out your packages, guys. Go ahead and put in your suggestions for the theme, I will monitor it and then jump back on. We'll get it knocked out.
All right, so let's see. This first package is from Anthony Snyder, of course. I didn't buy anything, so I don't know what it could be. Let's see here. So James is monitoring the chat. Give him all the good ideas. Toes, of course. Oh boy, look at this. You would have thought it would have been comics, but it says art inside. All right, well, what do we got here? Does it have a strip to? No, it doesn't have a strip to open up. So yes, Bobby is no longer working with Anthony. He has moved on to greener pastures. And Rich is, if everybody knows, you've seen Rich at a lot of the shows, of course. Rich is stepping into Bobby's shoes. And I think Bobby's worked for Anthony for as long as I've known Anthony, right? He's always been there. But Rich is now going to be the main guy, deservedly so. He's been there for a while. He's even tempered, but not that Bobby wasn't. But he's a good foil for Anthony. So let's see here. What is this? He got? Why did no? Oh, he must have got this. Why does it have Best Wishes Bill on it? Oh, he must have got. Anthony saw this because he's such a nice guy. Saw that it was already made out to me, so he bought it. I'm sure. Let's see, and he left the price tag on it too, of course. But who knows if he got it for that bunch? But hey, you got a Sal Batman, and it says Best Wishes Bill. Oh, isn't that great? Thank you, Anthony, wherever you are. That's awesome. How often do you get something made out to you that wasn't made out to you? It was not you're just throwing the airbrush out there. This was not airbrushed, Marcus. There you go. That's cool. Moving Pictures. What the heck is that? I mean, Moving Pictures is the name on the sticker. I've never heard of that place, so you must be a weird vendor. Then look, another one from Anthony. What do we got here? So this clearly must be art. I did not buy anything from Anthony. I don't think Gwen has ordered anything from him in a while either. But find out what is in here. Triple boxed. Okay, he did show me this one. This is pretty much for Marcus, really. I gotta get it out of the bag so you can see it. What is this from? Dead Man Logan. Let's see, issue 11, page 2. Oh. There we go. What do we got here? So is Logan even on there? Yeah, I guess he is. Maybe. But look at that. Cyclops was right. This one's for Marcus. Come on. Look at that. Cyclops. I'm going to get that shirt. I went looking for a Cyclops was right shirt after Anthony showed this to me. So there you have it. Marcus, you keep bringing the joy here on the channel, and Anthony delivers the art to help us enjoy it all the more. Heroes Surplus. So lots of stuff in here. But Cyclops was right. Yep. 2/3 splash pages. Yeah, I know. I actually got somebody to comment on the show last night. Larry Wilson said, Bill. No, it wasn't Larry. Gosh, who was it? I can't remember who it was, but somebody agreed that I was right on a 2/3 splash comment on the art last night. Yeah. What was Cyclops right about? Just everything. He never was wrong. That was the whole point. All right. And one more thing. This came in the mail today from Tom McDonald. So kind of weighty. Feels like a comic book, I'll imagine. Let's see here. Yes, it is. What have we got? Oh. All right. See, I say something and I get something. Let's see. All right. So Tom put a Post-it note on here. Remember this? We were looking at this cover not too long ago, and Tom wrote, "You said this cover made you want to read the book. Getting you into a DC comic is worth the price of postage. he had an extra. Enjoy, Tom. So there you go. I talked about this, saying the cover was awesome, and I'd love to read it, and now I get to. So I get to add that one, and then let's see. I got an extra. Dynamite sent me 2, and he only ordered 1 of these Vampirella versus Red Sonjas. This is the what is this? This is the Berkey variant, right? So now I've got this one, and I have the Anthony one. I will soon have a few of my own from the tavern, but thank you for both of these, Tom. I sincerely appreciate it. All right, I've been missing the chat. Yes, we all love that Perez cover. So there you go. I think hey, I was just gonna say, I think James is ready, right? James is ready.
So how this is going to work, like last time, to make it a little bit more fair, we're going to have 2 quick rounds. Round 1, everyone votes. Round 2, top 2 vote. I took most of your guys' ideas. I had some of my own. I figured 4th of July. I put in explosions because everyone does Captain America for 4th of July, and we didn't really want to hold Captain America though. So things that blow up. But here we go. We got stuck. There you go. All right. You guys know how this works. The Mega Cox vote. Your phone. You can do the QR code, or you can go to slido.com and put in the number on the screen that I am not sharing. And it is being shared. There you go. And so here are the themes that I pulled and added a couple more. We got movies, cartoon, TV, explosions. I saw robot, cyborg, cosmic space, tied up, restrained, and PG-13 bondage. Couples. Please do not associate couples with a tied up and restrained if that category wins. Non-traditional team-ups and using powers. So I was going to put Cyclops something on there, but I knew that was an auto win. And
yeah, don't do that. No.
Yeah, I mean, Cyclops with tentacles. Yeah, I get it. I get it. People have a lot of art with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to make sure it was fair. So,
all right. So we should all be voting right now, right?
We got seven joined. So let's get it up to about 15, 20, man. There's a bunch of people watching. So whip out your phones, scan the QR code. Let's get this vote down.
I know what I'm voting for.
Do it, Dill. Do it.
I'm jumping in. Slido hasn't loaded yet. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's over 100 people
15.
Watching.
I know. At least 25. At least 25. This is your category. The vehicles one is doing really well. I think for our show next week, we're going to have Jeff Wedding. He's our veteran. He's going to pick all the Star Wars vehicles, I guess. I'm assuming. We're going to have Peter Rowe. I met Peter at Heroes. Oh, by the way, I met a lot of you guys in the chat in the Heroes. It was fantastic. So that definitely was a good time. And
it was
see
a great time.
Orlando. Yeah. Thanks to the pizza Kazra. It was a lifesaver at that particular moment. And
you were the first one at the table after me.
Yeah, dude, I wasn't gonna wait. I was so hot too. And then Rob Roush. So Rob's gonna join us.
Oh, great.
And then Josh Ginsburg. So Josh will be his YouTube debut, I think. Peter as well. I don't know if you ever interviewed Peter.
Yes, I had Peter on. It feels like about a year ago, and he did a flip or two. Did he?
Okay. I
feel like it.
All right. So we're gonna go 2 more votes.
We got 28 votes in. Come on, just 2 more votes, people.
2 more. We're already at 10 o'clock, man.
Rob's beer saved Kazra. So
all right. Well, we'll call this first one. You guys need to log it.
Oh, 29. Come on, one more.
I'll do it.
And Wedding says that he didn't pick any Star Wars vehicles.
No.
Yeah, get us to 30, James. Come on.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
It's okay if 70% of the audience doesn't vote on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like normal voting.
I was going to say that's exactly what I was going to say.
All right. So non-traditional team ups. That's a solid topic.
Yeah.
And robots and cyborgs.
I voted for robots and cyborgs.
All right, so let me switch this up real quick. Last vote, I promise. Last vote.
Aquaman is not this. No, Cyclops is not the Aquaman of DC at all. And Marvel, nothing. No way. No how. I've been looking for a Cyclops visor. I got to get one.
There's a really cool coffee mug that
with Cyclops on it.
Yeah, and it's like visor is oh. All right, everyone, if you're already logged in, it should already come up for the vote because I've changed everything. We got 32. I'll give it 60 seconds. We'll get the half theme and we'll get Bill on his way to the next topic.
All right. I think I know which one I'm voting for.
Oh yeah, I gotta vote.
Yeah, Mega Cox always has to be followed by an exclamation point.
Or two, right? Or two.
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna love the shirt, Bill.
I can't wait to see it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just if you guys remember the 90s when we went to school, I think we had these T-shirts, these Big Johnson T-shirts.
I do not. I'm gonna have to Google that.
That's gonna be our inspiration.
I know you mentioned that to somebody when we were in at Heroes, and they knew what you were talking about.
Yeah. You had to be a kid in the 90s growing up in Alaska to understand.
Kazar says shirts plural. I guess there will be many variations on the Mega Cox theme. Please remember, there will be people from MegaCon at the show. Just don't be running around acting like we're infringing on their trademark. Michael Lovitz could tell us that that we could get in trouble for that if he was here still.
Gotcha. And we'll sell them in the parking lot out back.
If we Scott says if we added 2 more X's at the end, we could avoid IP issues. That's possible.
All right, you ready to get this done? Oh, what? Come on.
That's impossible. Well, how does that happen? 40 and 40 when you got 35 people voting. Tell me, is Slido malfunctioning?
Well, let me see. No, I just switched my vote. It's just.
But shouldn't it be like 53?
Well, no, somebody's logged in, but they just didn't vote. So there's an even number of votes. I mean, whoever logs in next has the power to be the tiebreaker. That's all I'm saying.
You hear that, everybody?
Whoever votes next breaks the tie.
All right, next vote determines the
can't?
July theme. Nobody's going to vote now. They're just going to leave us in limbo here.
All right, call it, Bill. Do you want robots or team-ups?
Well, you know what I said I wanted robots and cyborgs, but I want somebody else to decide. It shouldn't be me. What happened?
I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to reset it. You keep doing your show. I'm going to see. Let's just do team-ups.
Unconventional team-ups?
Unconventional team-ups.
Yeah, now it's at 42-42.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Note to self in the future, create two Slidos. Don't delete the old one. And
there you go. All right. Well, we're gonna call it. You're the boss. So and just so everybody knows, the Sketchbook show is Monday. I haven't created the show record for that yet, but it will be Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. James and Jeff and a new crew of Sketchbook selectors, I guess we call it. But all right, cool. Well, thank you, James.
Bob was driving, and he went with team ups, and he couldn't vote. So
all right, so we're going with team ups, non-traditional team ups for July.
All right, remember Mega Cox or
yes, January 26th through the 28th in 2024.
All right, see you,
incredible
Bill.
Lineup. See you, James. All right. Lazy Bill, come on. 16%. That's what I was thinking, Larry. What's up with that? All right, so we got a couple of things to do here before I bring my buddy Chris Snorik in here. Where can we go to first? I know Josh Flanders. He was at the Society of Illustrators the week before last, actually, and I didn't get to show his video because we had too many last week. Now, there's no live video in here. This is all slides, photographs that he took. So you'll get to see it. There was a Colleen Duran exhibit as well as a Mike Mignola, a Pinocchio exhibit going on at the same time at the Society of Illustrators. So if that's in New York City, for those of you who've never been. I've actually never been to it, which is ridiculous, but I've never made it there. But you'll get to see the photos, and if you're in the New York area, you should definitely try to go, because God knows I've been there often enough and I haven't made it. So somebody's got to make that up for me. So let me go ahead and play this. And no photos of Josh in here, though. I did slip one in at the end just for Josh. you go. Thank you very much, Josh, for pulling all that together for us. I would actually really enjoy going to see that exhibit for both artists, Duran and Mignola. And yeah, that was an unlikely pairing. You're very observant there, Mr. Rick Welch. So I remember promoting the fact that I was going to do show off Derek's most recent dramatic reading, and I felt like I did it 2 weeks ago. I think maybe I loaded it up and I didn't play it. So if people have seen this dramatic reading, you're going to get to see it again, because I went back and I kept scratching my head. I'm like, I swear I did it, but I don't feel I did. But I did. I got a great dramatic reading from Derek the week before we went to Heroes, and I thought we had played it. But you're going to enjoy this. Derek should get a voice acting award of some kind. Maybe we need to come up with something like that for our best of awards next year. But as far as voice acting goes, he hit a home run with this one. So let me go ahead and play this right now from Derek.
Mystery! What's with Firefly? And what bushwhacked our hero? Answer? Moi! And really, isn't it always about moi? This is a happy blaster. With a pull of a trigger, I can inject a healthy dose of Joker juice into the nearest villain, who then transforms into a pale, yet no less deadly reflection of myself. For further examples of my work, check out the rest of the Last Laugh saga. Get every issue! Buy 3! They're highly collectible! Oh, where is it? Where's the monster? Did you get it? Did you? Damn, lost him. Oh, this is gonna be a great day. It's horrible. The other reporters and we tried to stop it, but I can see him when I close my eyes. Okay, Jack, turn it down to 11 and let's start at the top. What's your name? Jack, like you said. Jack Ryder. I'm an innocent reporter. Shh. Do you feel something? Onomatopoeic ominousness. Little man! Yikes! It's raining she-men!
Isn't that amazing? Derek outdid himself on that one. Voice acting, he gets an A+, and even from the way he edited all that, I didn't do any of that. What do you do in your day job, Derek? That's what I want to know, because you definitely should be doing some video editing. That thing came off really, really well. So thank you for doing that. I think Derek's done a couple dramatic readings for us in the past. Yeah, look at that. Oh boy. Yes, everybody feels. See, again, Derek, you found your calling, man. And what did I get from Derek gave me some post-it note artworks when we were in Heroes, and he also gave me a Thor figurine, which I don't know where I put that. I thought it was on the table beside me. I would have shown that off, but thank you. Hey, Mikhail. All right, I get it. I've got to up my game, but there's Derek. Good job. All right. Well, so again, I've got a few other things to show off here as well. Kevin Sharp has been putting together these fantastic, a page I like with different comic creators, and he's got another one for us this week. I've got to kind of cue this one up a little bit differently. I thought about it's 11 minutes long. Usually I don't play things over 10 minutes, but the thing is, they don't really get to talking about the art until the last couple of minutes, and all the lead up is actually really pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the whole thing. I mean, yes, we're going to go to midnight tonight, but Chris Nork and I guarantee you that we will not go past midnight Eastern tonight. Well, we'll do our best, but that's my goal. But I'm going to play this thing because in its entirety, because it really needs to be seen from beginning to end here. But I do have to load it in a different manner, because you can't load 10-minute videos, things that are longer than that, into StreamYard. So here, let me get that. Do it this way. Okay. All right. Let me put that in there and get it started.
Hi, it's Kevin Sharp. I'm joined today by Evan Doc Shaner, the artist on the new champion of Shazam from DC Comics, and a as yet unannounced secret project coming soon. We're going to talk about a page from Darwin Cook's The New Frontier. So, Doc, welcome to the channel.
Hi there. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So, for starters, tell us where, kind of where you were in your comics reading life or your professional art life when The New Frontier kind of came into your awareness.
Well, the book came out in 2004, and I remember leading up to it, they had these promo posters for the comic book shops, and they're a pretty big poster, and it was the one with Green Lantern's hand in the middle, raised up with the lantern ring pretty focused, but in the center of the poster, with the other hands of the Justice League behind it. And I was a freshman in college, and I was feeling kind of lonely and kind of not really sure of my place in the world at the time. And there was a comic book shop nearby, and I would go there, once a week. And I remember seeing that poster, not knowing anything about Darwin, really only had been reading DC comic books for a few years at that point. Still, I think the entirety of my knowledge was The Flash and the things that everybody knows about Batman and Superman. So I didn't know what to expect out of this book. I had a vague idea of who the Justice League were, but the look of the poster completely knocked me on my ass. I couldn't believe that something could look like that. At the time, I was drawing a little bit, but I was still, at the time, I was still a music major, and I was still kind of figuring out, like, is this something I really want to be doing? I don't think comic books have a place for me and the way I draw, so maybe that isn't a viable career choice. But then I saw Darwin's poster, and it's not that I could draw anything like Darwin could, but Darwin was so different from what I was seeing on the stands at the time that it was my first clue into, oh, maybe I don't have to draw in a certain house style or the same as anybody else to work in comics. Maybe there is a place for me. So I couldn't have been more excited for the book. Again, not knowing anything about Darwin or what to expect from the book, I didn't know the premise at all. Only what I saw in that poster, and I was so excited for the look of it. I had no idea that Darwin was also writing it. But Darwin's lines combined with Dave Stewart's colors, I was so excited about it.
So we're going to go to your pages from the final issue of the series, almost at the climax of the series. What I was going to ask was, when I think of The New Frontier, if somebody asked me to choose a page, I would be paralyzed because the entire run is just Darwin hitting balls out to deep left center again. So how did you decide on which page you were going to choose for this?
The thing is, this book is chock full of incredible career-making pages. And the thing is, I could easily pick out another 20 or 30 pages that I think are incredible and absolutely emblematic of the book as a whole. The thing, and I read The New Frontier over and over again every couple of years, and never intentionally. It's something where I want to see something from a certain page just to see how Darwin handled something. And then I end up sitting there reading through a whole passage again. And then ultimately I end up reading the entire book again because it's so readable. By which I mean it's so easy to get caught up in what he's doing. The 3-panel structure to it, which, as a relatively new comic book reader at the time, back in 2004 and 5, it never occurred to me that it was 3 wide panels over and over and over and over again. It never hit me until the very end of the book when I realized, looking back through it, oh, these are all wide panels. He's telling this entire story with the same structure. And I think that's so revelatory because so many artists get caught up in chopping up the page in new and different ways. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Lord knows I've done it plenty. But confining yourself to a 3-tier structure like that, I think, opened Darwin up in so many ways. This book feels huge. This book feels like it takes up space. Like there's, when we see Hal fly off into space, we feel that the amount of space there. When we get wide shots of the center, or wide shot of the Justice League and all the huge cast of this book, it really feels huge. So when it comes to this book, there are, like I said, 20 to 30 other moments that I could easily pick, but the one I think about constantly is this page where, and it's hard to take it. I love this whole sequence. Taking it out of context seems a little strange, but I think this is the high point of this sequence. This page is preceded by the Justice League triumphant. They've had victory over the center, and they're starting to celebrate when Aquaman's ship comes out of the depths, and we haven't seen barely any of the thing with Aquaman this entire time. Over the course of these nearly 400 pages, we've barely seen his face. So we don't know what to make of this character in the context of the book. And then on this page, we get this great shot of Aquaman. The door has opened, the water is pouring down, and Aquaman, kind of shadowed a little bit by the light coming from behind him, perfectly lit by Dave Stewart. I'm sure, I know that Darwin had a hand in where the shadows went and where the highlights would lay on characters, but the way Dave lit this is immaculate. And this is our first real look at King Arthur of Atlantis, and we've got Superman, who up until this point is presumed dead by all the other characters. He's just barely falling out of frame in that first panel. And we cut to, which is the exact center of the page, is Lois's reaction to finding out that Superman is still alive. And for me, it's one of the, if not the biggest, it's one of the best emotional focuses of this book. And that reaction shot of Lois with her eyes wide open and her neck is stretched up a little bit to really pull the reader into that center of that panel and the page as a whole, framed by all the other characters behind her. And it's not just, not everybody's just happy to see Superman. I look at Green Arrow's face behind her, that smug kind of look to him, which is perfectly in character. The Flash's look at Superman having returned. The thing, and I feel like it's hard to talk about this book, with Darwin having written the book as well. I think it's easy to talk about the way he structures this page. And I was just taking another look at it, and there's no clear answer to who's narrating this page. And it's part of it is the writing, the writing in the second panel. I think about this line all the time. A moment so perfect it makes you want to cry. I think about that line all the time, and I see Lois's face burned into my memory when I think of it. But there's no clear indication who is saying this, and for all I know, it's just Darwin talking. And I think through the greater context of the book, this seems to be the one time we really have Darwin himself talking directly to us. Now I'm reading into it there, but that's my own personal interpretation. And then it ends on this great tight shot of Jimmy starting to take the photo, and even without the next page, which is a great page of a old school newspaper shot of the Justice League and all these other characters celebrating. I love the moment, the timing that we get with Jimmy's click of the camera and knowing that we're about to see something. It would be so easy to leave that panel out and save it either for the top of the next page or not include it at all, and just end on that shot of Lois. But with this 3-panel structure, I just, the timing on this page blows me away every time I look at it.
So I have 2 questions specific to our channel before I let you go. One is, back me up. Aquaman is cool, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he gets a lot of grief among art collectors.
I know it's easy to say Aquaman's a joke, but I think if you look at the reasons people call Aquaman a joke, that you could make the same arguments about Batman or any other character, really. I love Aquaman. He's my favorite.
Ditto. Totally ditto. And finally, because we're on the Comic Art Live channel, do you own any Darwin Cook original art?
No. Except for I have a small sketch of Parker in one of my Parker books that I won in a art contest he ran around the time that the first Parker book came out. And that's it. For years I've been looking. There's a cover that I've been looking for, and nobody seems to be quite sure where it is. That he drew for Dynamite back in the day of Jungle Jim, and it was my Jungle Jim design that he drew. So it's something I've been looking for a really long time. So if anybody knows where it is, please let me know.
All right, you put the word out. Thank you again for joining us and talking about this great comic.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always happy to talk about Darwin.
There you have it. Thank you, Mr. Sharp, for doing another one of these. We've got many more in the can ready to go. So I'm going to kind of breeze through the rest of my CAF update stuff here so we can get Chris on screen with us. I will do my heritage picks right now and go quickly through them just to kind of show off some of the pieces that I thought were worth looking at. We've already talked a lot about heritage, of course, but this is the weekly auctions that'll end next Wednesday. So, there was this, how often do we get to see a Frank Miller Sin City page out there? Not too often. So I thought that was worth pointing out. I'm sure it'll do really well. Probably be one of the higher priced items next week. Then there was this Chris Wozniak Spectre cover that I really liked. Just like the composition of this piece a lot. So there's another one, issue 16. And there was this Trimpy Godzilla. I mean, that's a nostalgic pick for me. I have a Trimpy Godzilla in my collection. I think everybody should have a Trimpy Godzilla. Look, it's a thigh gap from Godzilla in the last panel there. I didn't even notice that before. But yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I like that one. I mean, come on, this is classic era stuff here. What else was there? An early Jim Starlin. And look at this. I mean, it's like following Conan's eyes while he's checking out whomever this is. Look, he's not looking in all the right. Well, maybe he is looking in all the right places. She's touching his sword. I mean, I didn't even look this closely, but now I have. I can't unsee that. I don't think I've seen that before in a comic book. But there you go. Early Jim Starlin with Al Milgrom inks from 1974. Wow. That's a doozy. That is indeed. What do we got here? Mike Mignola, Kelly Jones, Marcus. What do we got here? This is the Chronicles of Corum, issue 4. But come on, Mike Mignola. I mean, I picked it for that. I didn't even think about Kelly Jones's work on this one, but great work, of course. I wouldn't mind owning this page myself. Yes, Jones! Exclamation point. What else we got here? Angel Medina, Scott Hanna, Venom page, and I don't forget it was from Dark Origin. I don't know. I always liked Medina's the way he draws physicality. So with Venom, I mean, just look at that. Those nothing is in proportion there. It's pretty a grotesquely muscular Venom, but appropriate. Tons of bricks in here, even some rooftop shingles and everything. So this is I like this image a lot. Inked by Scott Hanna. Then Ed Hannigan. I always just like Ed Hannigan stuff. I mean, I know you look at it and it's like, oh, it's not the cream of the crop as far as pencilers go, but I always liked his storytelling, and I just thought this was a fun page. Love the last panel. I'd say that's a third splash, everybody, right there. But what is he? He's in a recording studio or something. Look at all the guitars. I don't know what he's doing there. I didn't read the page, but I like the page. Ed Hannigan, I mean, that page screams Ed Hannigan, doesn't it? Flip. Okay. What do we got there? 3 more. First up, Dave Sim Gerhard page from issue 199 of Cerebus. What more can you ask for? I mean, this is kind of like a splash page, even though it's broken up into 5 panels, everybody. I mean, you might as well call this one a full page splash. At least I'm going to call it that. I just love both of them. I mean, the storytelling and all that. And Gerhard's going to be a guest at OAX, everybody. I did put that link in there earlier for you too, Jason. But it was on Will's site for a year. Which one? The one before this, the Hannigan? 40 minutes to pumpkin time. All right, Jason, I'm trying to go fast. Then we got a Schaffenberger Jimmy Olsen page. It's got a gorilla on it. We all know that gorillas are like the #1 reason why DC was able to sell so many comic books back in the day. Now I understand why. I mean, look at it. I mean, but Schaffenberger is awesome. I mean, Kurt Swan better, of course, in my opinion. The Hannigan was on Will's. I didn't realize that. I don't shop too often, so I wouldn't have seen that. But anyways, gorilla. And you got Superman all over this, and a Schaffenberger. Love it. And Jimmy Olsen right there at the end. And last but not least, I mean, I know this is kind of like a minimally thing. This is from a trading card artwork, but I mean, you get a painted zombie from Bernie. I think it's rather small, so it should be an affordable piece. I don't foresee it hitting $1,000, right? So, but cool, man. I mean, at the end of the day, a colored zombie, even though it's tiny, because I think this was like 9 inches tall. So again, very small piece, but hey, I'll take a Bernie painted zombie any day. Mr. Easy Go Lucky says nice. Exactly. Look at that. I think I like this piece. I might even bid on it. So there you go. There are my 10 heritage picks today. Next up, of course, is the EXP preview with Nick Barucci. Nick is on tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And I know that I actually haven't watched this, but I read through a press release that he'd put out there. So I know tomorrow is going to be a very big show for Nick. And everybody should tune in on the EXP channel over on YouTube. That is where all the cool kids hang out. Will it go higher than a Hembeck card? I think it will go higher than Hembeck cards, James. But, anyway, let's go on and take a look at the EXP here. I know I've got it queued up, and here goes.
Everybody, this Friday, June 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern, it is going to be the biggest show we've ever had. You have got to tune in. We've got so much cool original art, and we have original art at blockbuster prices. It is July 4th, holiday weekend, and we're giving everyone the freedom of having good deals. I couldn't think of anything better, so I went with that. So, Amy's got to go out to dinner, so I got to hurry. So, let's see what we got here. We are going to have this gorgeous JSA cover by Dale Eaglesham. You will not believe the price on this. We're going to have this other beautiful cover by Dale Eaglesham. We're going to have the Council of Reeds, Fantastic Four 571 from the Jonathan Hickman run with Dale Eaglesham. Oh my stars and garters, we have Justice Society Classified by Dale Eaglesham and Jose Marzan Jr. published cover, and the unpublished cover. I'll give you a hint, you won't believe the price. Then we have this freaking unbelievable Vibe cover. Ooh, the price on this is going to be unbelievable. Then we have this awesome Teen Titans cover. Then we have this beautiful Venom First Host cover by Mark Bagley. How can we have a show without Bagley these days? Brett Booth, Cherish #1 cover. Dynamite published that. So about time we have a Dynamite published title. But speaking of Mark Bagley, we're going to have this Original Sin Hulk. And look at how many characters are on this page. Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Thing, Nick Fury, Daredevil. Why am I putting this on the air? It has Daredevil. Jeez Louise, if this had Submariner, I'd really be crazy. Wolverine, Spider-Man, so much more. But check it out. Oh my God, you will not believe the prices. We have the Spider-Man #5 and Spider-Man #6 covers at. Let's just say, I would be surprised if they don't sell right away. Then we have Carlos Baglion, cover to Green Lantern Corps. This is going to be a stunner. I tell you what, I'll tell you what it is right now. This is going to be under $1,000. So that's my one hint to you, okay? Then we have this other Passerin cover, which is great. By the way, I said Carlo Baglione. This is actually Fernando Passerin. I'm an idiot. Amy's moving her hands to get out of here. Witchblade by Luke Ross. First Witchblade page we've ever had, I think. And another Fernando Passerin. This is a gorgeous double-page spread. But if we get to it, oh my God, we are going to, there's stars, there's stripes, there's fireworks, and then there's Starlin. How much Starlin might we have on Friday? Can we get to it all? If not, we'll move some back. Ooh, look, more here. There's more. You know what? Amy doesn't have time for me to do that. So I'm just going to give you a few little pieces. Hey, how about we do this page at $75? It's still Starlin, just a lot of space. But you know what? You get to say you have Starlin. How about we do this page at $50? Boy, I hope I remember these prices. Check it out. Check it out. More. Oh, look at this. Brett Booth, another Teen Titans cover. Yep, Titans number 4. Let me put that over there. Oh, Brett Booth again, even more. Oh, this I hope doesn't sell. This is the Kingdom Come JSA special by Dale Eaglesham. This is the big one that Alex Ross wrote and drew and colored the story. And Amy's saying, I got to get out of here to dinner. So, this Friday, June 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern, only on the Original Art Experience. Hit that thumbs up and share. Sharing is caring. See you guys Friday, or at least you'll see me.
There you go. Nick's got his voice back. All right. All right, so we're going to get into the CAF update now. We're going to go as quick as we can. I don't have the little video clips because my son and daughters and wife, Maureen, are all in Columbus, Ohio this weekend. They are playing in the Pokemon National Championships. So it determines who is the best Pokemon player in the USA. So that is this weekend. So I didn't have anybody here to help me put anything together for the show. So I've got a couple slides I can show you for the 6 pieces that were the dealer picks. Dealers had a down week. I've been saying that a lot lately, right? They were at $200,000 last week. They were only at $151,000 this week, with Felix knocking them all out. He had 51,000. So he had a third of all sales last week for the dealers that we track. Will was in second, which is, don't hear that too often, but he had about $37,000 in sales. Anthony third, 40 sales, $21,000. That $500 average is consistent for the Schneider man. But top 6 sales here. Let me just throw in the screen here so you can see the slides. They are a Batman 497 page. This was sold by Will, one for $36,000. Of course, this is from the Backbreaker issue, of course. Jim Aparo pencils, Giordano inks. This one sold for $36,000 as the asking price. So next up, what do we got? Of course, remember the big Nick Klein art drop this past week? That was the Incredible Hulk issue 1 cover, and asking price for this one, $10,000. Then we've got another Nick Klein piece. I mean, this is pretty dang awesome. When you see this one, I would have loved to have seen it in person. But at any rate, this one went for $6,000. It is the DPS pages 20 and 21 from that Hulk 1 book. Then this was typically Felix gets all his commission pieces listed in the market data as well. This one went for $6,000. It's a Nick Klein piece, or not Nick Klein, it's Ian Bertram. I'm sorry. And it was $5,000. I'm looking at my notes wrong. But yes, $5,000, Ian Bertram, and an Aliens commission. And I think we've looked at this one before, so I'm not sure. I think it was out there a while ago. Doesn't this? I think Felix has this one as well. He should. I mean, this thing kicks all kinds of butt. I want it. Next up, we were talking about John Byrne a bit earlier, and this was sold by Glenn. $4,200 was the asking price on this one. Thing. Chris Nork should like this one. And Frankenstein of all combatants to battle the Thing there, but nicely done. And last but not least, Ramita Man had this Masafera cover go for $4,000. So the Last Ronin, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue 1. And went for $4,000, like I said. So there you go. That are the Sorry. It's so much easier when there's a video and to talk over it. Auction results for you, though. I won't even bother to show you them. I'll just give you the skinny on these. With regards to sales last week, it's been consistent, $273,000 last week compared to $291,000 before that. Cheap for the last run. Yeah, I agree, Nick. I think Mike could have priced that one a little bit higher. He doesn't usually leave money on the table like that, but he did that time. Yes, so eBay, they made up 100 and what was it, 141,000 of this figure. Walt Simonson's charity piece was the #1 piece last week, sold for $4,700. There was an Ernie Chan newspaper strip that went for close to $4,000, and then there was a Jamie Hewlett Fireball page, which was done during his kind of Tank Girl era, went for $3,000. And over at Heritage, on the weekly auction side of things, there was a Wrightson, a Graveyard Examiner illustration, which was really awesome. I don't know how I didn't see that when I did the picks last week. It went for $15,600. There was a Tim Kirk painted piece, and it wasn't familiar with the content, but it went for $5,000. And then there was an awesome Quesada Nolan Batman Azrael page that went for $4,560. And I didn't pick that one either, so I'm really perplexed at how I missed the Quesada and the Wrightson, but it happens. So you know what time it is. I'm not even going to play. One of these days I've got to find a new intro music for my co-host here, but let me just bring him in here. Mr. Chris Snorik, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good. We missed you last week. Everything good?
Yeah, all good. Becky's on the mend, so we just had an unplanned hospital stay over the night. So thanks to Chuck for filling in, and thanks to you for to making the change at the last minute. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was fun getting to hang out with Chuck again right after Heroes. But the Beast, I guess that's your new nickname, Chris. The Beast. But let's see here. Well, let's just dive right into this, because I would like to try to get us done by midnight. I don't know if that's possible. And it's okay if we go over.
Can I have 1 second before we start?
Yeah, of course.
I have to say thank you to someone, because I got a gift from a viewer and obviously big calf member, but Lance Suarez sent me a freaking Travis Charest sketch cover. And
that is great.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks to the esteemed Mr. Suarez for the lovely gift.
Congratulations. You have that's awesome. I mean, Lance I'm sure Marcus would say that Lance is a great guy. Marcus and Lance hang out quite a bit. So
clearly.
Yeah,
I was absolutely blown away. So thanks again to Lance. That was uncalled for.
Well, Lance is a good guy. Congratulations, Chris. And yes, Marcus, I was going to say he was speechless, and then he said, even I didn't get that. Well, Marcus,
I got a ton of crap from Lambert about it too. So.
Oh man! All right, let me queue up your stuff here. And but hey, you work hard on the channel, Chris. Come on, literally, you put in 40+ shows a year with me, and you spend hours a week going through all this stuff to make this segment of the show fun. So
labor of love.
Well deserved. All right, so let's see. We're starting off with let's see. Here we go. Something I like. I mean, it's a Kirby Coletta Thor page. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I picked this because one, I was really excited for the owner. I heard about this at Heroes, and so when I saw it on CAF, I was like, oh, what a fun, great story, fun story. But more than anything, I'm a big Balder the Brave fan. And I don't know how many of us there are out there, but this page, like squarely featuring Balder, was just a great reason for me to pick it.
Agreed. Yeah, Jeff Dunn is the owner of this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, he was very happy. I know we're going to be looking at a page of mine that was bought at the exact same time, but I could tell this was like really special to him. He was very happy to be picking this thing up, and it was really great to see in person. I have a page by Kirby and Coletta from Thor as well. I can't remember what issue, but I like Coletta's inks on Thor. I mean, of all the complaints people have, I mean, at the end of the day, Thycletta did he was more than serviceable when he was inking Kirby during that period.
Yeah, definitely had his moments.
Very true. But congrats to Jeff on that one. I mean, it's always good to find a page that satisfies. There you go, bucket list piece. There you go, bucket list piece for me. Let me highlight
Pretty much
that.
what he told me at Heroes. So yeah. So congrats, Jeff.
Awesome. Sorry, reading the chat. All right, let me get my like on that one. So there we go. Now, next up, we have a let's see. This is a collection of Fabio C. Member for 18 years. My goodness, look at that. We have a Dylan Dog page by Piero Dal Agnol.
Delagnol, yeah.
Okay, I should have let you say it.
I picked this because I really love the ink effect that's used on these ghostly figures in the background. The inking on some folks, ink Dylan rougher than others. I would say this definitely falls into that camp. He's got kind of the rougher on the edges look in the face for sure. But just the complete departure from the other inking style on the same piece, I think what made a really cool, almost a special effect of those ghostly characters.
No, agreed. And I've never read anything Dylan Dog, but the more I see the art, the more I want to know more about the storyline. Because I've always been into horror related genres, and somehow I ended up over on Catawiki today. I was testing some links on CAF, and I happened to click on a Dylan Dog page, and I was like, and the page I landed on was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you get confused when you land on Catawiki because it's in euros. And I'm thinking it's 130 euros. What's that in US? When does this thing end? But yeah, I mean, the more I see it, the art's nice, but I'm really intrigued by the story. So so this was cool. I wonder what was it used for? Did it say? I mean, it looks like it might be like a kind of like a frontispiece.
Yeah, I think it's like a book plate.
What's Jason John did? Quite disturbing and unsettling. Oh, hey, and it's from 1991. Wow. Cool. Very, very cool.
Dylan Dog, between Dylan Dog and Tex, it's kind of a who's who of Italian comic artists.
Very nice. Okay, I like that one. Well, congrats to Fabio C for picking that one up. And then this is in Matt Moore's CAF gallery, and we know Matt, he likes some heavy music.
He's a rocker.
So he really is. He looks like he's everybody's uncle. So when he could be your uncle. He could be mine. He could be a Marcus's for all we know. But this is what he likes to, when he commissions people, because we know he's a big Bolland fan.
Mm-hmm.
But when he gets a mystery sketch or gets something from Danny Warren Johnson, he's thrashing.
Yeah, so I thought this was doubly cool because this is Glenn Danzig. So Glenn being into the hobby and kind of in the hobby and selling art and all those kinds of things, and then being the subject of the art, I think is kind of a cool 1-2 punch. So yeah, the fact that I was kind of in line when this happened, and so there's a lot of cool little elements of this piece for me. To say nothing of the fact that it's Danny Warren Johnson.
Yes, I agree. And goodbye to Mr. Alex. I'm glad that you're well endowed, but you have no place in our chat, sir. Goodbye. So, yeah, sorry. Danzig, Matt Moore. Love it.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of those 4x6 pieces he probably got.
Yeah,
right?
one of the con specials. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I know a lot, and I'm sure Felix would probably say he was a trendsetter on this, but a lot of artists are doing the smaller pieces at cons these days. And I think it's better for all of us, right? Because it gets more art out. And so you don't get your 9x12 or your 11x14 full figure, blah, but at least you're walking away with something. So
the other thing I think is cool is then you get things like this, where somebody's like, you know what, for the price, yeah, what the hell? I'll ask him to draw Danzig.
Exactly. And that's got to be refreshing for him, because he looks like when he's in that mindset and he's just sketching, I don't want to say he doesn't look like he's thrilled, but he's working at that point when he's got a line in front of him. Yeah, I mean, so again, this is awesome, and I'm glad Matt got this. I'm glad Danny Warren does these at shows. So this is a piece that I got when Jeff and Jason. Well, Jason texted me and he said, "Bill, you got to come over to the table, at Bashar's table. Unbelievable. If you don't buy this, Jeff and I are going to arm wrestle for it or something." And and I was like, okay, and I don't. Did he tell me Werner Roth? I don't recall, Jason. But at the end of the day, I had to race over and check out what could possibly be, what could, because I wasn't going in there to buy anything. And I have never bought anything from Bashara ever. And so, I was surprised to see this page. I think most people are heroes. So I paid $1,800 for it. And I've seen so many Werner Roth pages that have the team in costume, maybe not everybody on the page, but they always go for $4,000 or $5,000. Mm-hmm. And, as much as I like to say I like Werner Roth, he's not really a top 5 at the end of the day. So when I think about spending $4,500 on a page, mm-hmm. It's got to be a really great page. And I haven't found a page by Werner Roth that I'd spend $4,500 on. But $1,800 and you get the whole team, I'm in. And so, and this is a real, I like this page a lot. I mean, you get the close-ups of them in the top 4 panels, and then just kind of the somber, Death of Professor X stuff in the last 2 with the whole team in those last 2 panels.
Yeah, the fact that the whole team is on it, the fact that like Don Heck is like clearly involved here in a few spots. But for me, I mean, you actually posted quite a few good pieces last week, but the main thing for me was I talked to you like right after you had gotten back from dinner, and like you were like, "Oh, I bought this page today," and kind of the same reason I picked the Jeff Dunn page, just because like to be there and to talk to somebody in person, kind of like after they made a purchase that they're really like kind of chuffed about, like it just feels good for everybody. Like when you're telling the story, like it's just easy to kind of like romanticize the hobby a little bit when that's going on.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm looking at it now. I really like this page. I don't know why Bashar didn't have it at like 3 or something, but I lucked out, and even better because 2 friends of mine were willing to sit back and give me the opportunity to buy it first. And so, yes, thank you to Jason and Jeff, both in the chat tonight, for allowing that to happen, because I can check off that box. I don't need to get a $4,500 page or another page by Werner Roth. I'm really happy.
Good stuff.
And thank you for picking this one out. I don't get to feature my stuff too often here. All right, what do we got next here? Oh, that's right, the Tim Truman Grimjack page, and this is in the collection of SA.
I know I've mentioned on the channel before, I loved Grimjack back in the day, like when I was a kid, kind of like when independent comics were, just really becoming a thing here, so like when Ninja Turtles and Grundle and like all that kind of stuff was going on, or, like Comico had fired up. Grimjack became a thing right about the same time. And so I thought Grimjack was so cool. I loved, the action on the page. There isn't a ton of action in this book typically. So the fact that this is like a battle page really. And then I think at the end of the day, maybe the best thing about it is the panel break on that top panel. Normally you don't see a panel break like on the very first panel.
No, you don't. Yeah, that is very unconventional, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I've always, let me try to go back to see the page as a whole. I mean, I've always liked Tim Truman's work. I think I first saw him from some D&D modules, in the early 90s, or no, it's been late 80s, and loved his stuff then. He used to do like these sepia tone, pieces that just were very different for that time period. But I never read Grimjack, but looking at his art here, I mean, it's the same reason why I liked his work in D&D. I just, he was suited to draw characters in this sort of I don't know, genre, sort of swashbuckling and everything. So yeah.
And Grimjack is one of those, it was so popular at the time to like straddle genres. So it's like, it's sci-fi, it's fantasy, it's like, it's Star Wars, but he's like Dirty Harry, ish. So yeah.
Matt says 70s for his D&D stuff. Is that true?
Seems right to me. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I would have thought, because I was playing it more in the 80s, but
well, I mean, D&D's late 70s anyway.
All right. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. But that's where I first saw him. So it was cool to, and he used to go to Pittsburgh Comic Con. I saw him a couple times there and never bought anything from him, unfortunately. But this is a nice pickup for SA. Okay, next up, Patrick R. I like this page a lot, man. This is a John Romita Senior page, but I mean, so look at the action on this thing.
I know.
Every one of us, each panel is incredible.
And I said, this is the Dusty Rhodes of comic book pages, because look at all the razor cuts on this thing.
Yeah.
It's insane. I'm not sure I've ever seen it more than it's on this page. I think it's in every panel.
Oh my God. Oh boy. Well, the thing is, you can make these cuts with the razor, and if you didn't like the way it turned out, you just ink it over and do it again, right? But man, look at that.
The battle is just so awesome. Like they're, trashing these Hydra goons. Fury's lighting his cigar while he flies away in his jetpack. I mean, it literally doesn't get better than a Cap and Fury page than this.
Yeah, I mean, unless he was lighting his, lighting it with his jetpack. But no, this is it. It is. It's just action packed, and because you get the razor marks in here throughout every panel. Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
man. Patrick R. got a good page here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, congrats on that one, Patrick. And then we're going over to Mikhail's calf gallery. Let me swing up there. This one was, it was hard not to love this piece, right? I mean, every time it kind of came up in a search, or if I looked on the most comments for one day, or if I went and looked at most views, it was on it. It's on a lot of people's radar because, the architecture in this thing is just off the charts.
Yeah, I think I saw it before he did. This was sitting at Marco's table, like at the Inky Knuckles booth of Heroes. And the ultimate compliment that I can pay this was the first thing I said when I saw it was, "Tell me that's for sale." So I didn't know who it was for. I didn't know, I just knew that it was Blade Runner. And I mean, goddamn, look at this thing. So from an artistic standpoint, definitely the thing I love the most about it is you can talk about their perspective, and the perspective is fantastic. The technical rendering is fantastic, but I love the way that he used tone to create depth in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's amazing, but you got to see it in person. I'm jealous.
I did.
Well, congrats to Mikhail on this one. So when you asked, they said no, right?
Cam dropped the hammer on me and said, no, you know who it belongs to, though, he said. And I was like, oh, come on.
Well, no, this is gorgeous. It really is. So congrats, Mikhail. It's a winner. Another feather in your cap as far as your collection and cap. This is a great piece.
Think of me when you need to sell it the next time you're going to buy something stupid.
Oh man. All right. No, I haven't put my like on that one. There we go. Now over to Ben H's calf gallery. And let me get the like on this one right away. This thing is just beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I gotta look. Here we go. Look at that.
Look how fine it is.
Wow.
And it's like, it's not layered, but that's not the word, but that's like the feeling that it gives. Like all the texture, like all of the line work, it's almost like the lines are piling up in places, but they're not. It's all very clean, but it just gives a layered look to the piece. I mean, Supergirl does like, the hair does kind of like fall apart into the background a little bit, but like, look at the weight on her pose. Like, look at the weight on her boots and like the way she's like sitting in the piece. It's so well layered. It's beautiful.
No, it really is. I mean, I didn't see this piece on calf, but had I, it would have been in my list of pieces to select. But yeah, no, this is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And let's see, what was it? Oh, Ben H. That's right. Yeah, this is a winner. Did they use let's see. I'll have to go back and read it. So many thanks he's thanking Felix for this one. But yeah, it's a beautiful image, definitely. Let's see here. 2 more to go. Larry Wong. How long has Larry been on calf? 6 years. So we got a Dustin Weaver cover. I can't click on it though.
So Marcus's comment kind of like summed up what I really liked about the piece, which is that it's kind of that trope of like, oh, I've got like my technical person like on my headset, like while I'm out doing the fighting. So you got Domino like split off here and like getting tactical data or whatever you want to say. And I think it's cool how he actually makes Domino like bleed over into the other image in spite of the fact that like there's a clear like screen split down the center. But the thing for me is the fact that, Dustin Weaver is such an incredible draftsman. Like when he draws technical stuff, like the rifle or like the pouches, the belts, like whatever, it's so crisp. It's so like perfectly clean. And he doesn't skimp on anything basically ever.
Agreed. And sorry for not calling out the artist names prior to that. Marco Ferrari was the Blade Runner that I see Mikal to do that. Sorry about that. And
no, my bad.
Nope, mine too. Sometimes I get a little distracted, but no, I love Dustin's work as well. So yeah, this is a slick piece. I love I love the split screen effect there. Everything. It's a really nice layout here. And Larry, we just needs a bigger image next time. But yeah, great pick there. I did not see this one either. Now, I didn't see this one, but I love Joe Dragunis's work. I won't say anything yet, but okay, well, he may be at OAX. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, but he was at Heroes. Did you seen Joe's work before?
I have. I picked this one because it has a lot of the hallmarks in like art that I like from other artists that I'm not going to name because I'm not going to take any heat from Jason D'Ambrosio about it. But it's got symmetry, it's got skulls. I mean, it looks like a woodcut. You do the math on who I'm talking about.
I know. But yeah, it has that drawer feel as far as just the way it's done. But Joe, yeah, he's awesome. He's very fun. He's a really nice guy. I've seen. I think I first learned about him about 3 years ago. But yeah, he's really talented, and he hangs out with Mark Schultz and Flesk Publications. I mean, so he's got good friends.
Right. Rarefied air.
Yes. Oh, and Robert Berman just said the same thing. He was sharing table space. I think he drove Mark down, so that's how it works out. But he's actually from Ohio, and he may be driving Berkey's stuff down to OAX, which is why I'm like, well, if he's going to drive Berkey's stuff down, he's got a table because got to be there. Exactly. So Pop Sequentialism one about the Ferrari piece. It better not have been digital. It couldn't have been digital because Chris Snork saw it at Heroes. So
it was not digital and it was not airbrushed.
Exactly. But yeah, so Joe Dragunis. I love his work. I'm glad you picked this one. And I didn't see this one either. I don't know how I missed it. But I thought it was a nice, when I got there, somebody said that they were traveling to Heroes and found out about this piece and raced over to buy it. So Lee Harmon, I think Lee was in the chat earlier. Oh, Lee is there. There he goes.
Sorry, I didn't meet you at Heroes, Lee.
Yep, Lee Harmon. Thank you for sharing this. Lee, and I'm glad. I mean, it's good to see art like this get out there because Joe isn't known by many, but the more opportunities we talk about stuff like this, the better.
Well, so, if you can do this, you're worthy of being talked about.
Definitely. He had the year before. I don't know if I didn't go through his stuff this year, but he had an awesome Galactus illustration that I don't know why I didn't buy it because it kick butt. Same kind of etched woodcut kind of feel, and I was stupid, so I'll regret not buying it. Won't make that mistake again. We all know that feeling.
We did meet Lee. Okay, well, I met a lot of people. I'm sorry, Lee.
Yeah, that's the thing with Heroes. If I'm not taking notes, I'm never going to remember everybody that I ran into.
Yeah, well, and when you're asking me after the fact, like, what's this guy's name? If you're asking me, you're in trouble, though.
I know, and I had to. I felt so bad there was somebody I talked to more than once over the weekend, and that weekend I could not remember the name afterwards. I'm like, I felt so stupid, you know. So it is what it is. All right, let's roll over to my picks here. And I hate to say it, when I was done, I was like, I picked too many X-Men stuff. So I'm gonna next week I have to go X-Men free. Okay, that's my motto.
No more mutants.
No more mutants. Exactly. I'm losing my voice here too. So let's see here. Let me get onto this. All right. So, hey, this one's for Marcus. I mean, it really is, but it's in James Siegel's Calf Gallery. You get, right? It was James. I don't want to speak out of turn. Yes, of course. James Siegel, the man who picks up an awesome piece of art every single week. It seems that way anyway.
It does.
So anyways, who doesn't like, let's see, even the color image I liked when I looked at it, but McGinnis's work is always, I don't know, I've always enjoyed his stuff. Here you get it's very symmetrical, but I still like this image a lot. And it's Cyclops, and I knew it would irritate Marcus, give us some good commentary. But so there you have it. I just, again, McGinnis is somebody who's I think of maybe more with like the Hulk and stuff, and I think of his Marvel work, but no, this is a slick image, love it, and it's I wouldn't mind owning it. So congrats to James. And yes, sorry, just reading it through. All right, next up, what do we got here? I think it was I had to pick. I had to pick this one, and so it's like the and this is in Jason's Calf Gallery. Let me get the like on this one. This is, I agree with Jason. We saw this one at Heroes. He was like, this is probably one of the best Juggernaut images ever made. And it's hard to really argue with that.
You can't argue. No, you cannot argue.
I mean, dang, I mean, looking at, having seen it in person, I mean, it was pretty, amazing. And still, I mean, here, even on Calf, it has that same presence and magnitude.
James, I'm trying to be fast. Don't bust my chops.
Yes, exactly. That's okay. I didn't expect Chris to, he didn't have to comment on that one. But congrats to Jason on this one. Just phenomenal. And didn't want to speak out of turn. It was Garney with Morales inks on this one. Then over here, this is Paul Pelletier or Pelletier. I don't know, I've never know, but Dan Davis inks on this one. And it's what was it, Superboy? I forget.
In the Ravers,
yeah, Superboy and the Ravers #1 from 1996. I just like the composition on it. I mean, it's kind of just a great team kind of first issue, kind of in your face sort of thing. And the moment I saw it, I just like this. I like it. I know I kind of complain a lot about covers that don't really tell what's in the book or anything, but you figure this is an issue 1, so you can kind of do whatever you want, to kind of wow the potential reader of the book. So something like this, kind of just an in-your-face team shot, it's a good way to go. I mean, and I've
got a lot of attitude.
It does, right? Exactly. It's like, you gonna mess with us? All right. And that guy, one guy, he doesn't have as good a beard as you though, but he's given one of those. And yeah. I mean, but again, a really, really great image. So that's why I had to pick it. Ian Saint loves it too. Pure 90s, says Marcus. Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. What do we got next here? Oh, this was in Jim D'Amico's gallery, right? Yeah, this is a piece by Patrick Reynolds. Not familiar. Maybe I should be. I don't know. But
me neither.
Let's see. And I think this was, it was just an illustration. Don't know if it was published. But yes, huge Spectre image, Batman on a gargoyle. I mean, this thing's beautiful.
That's really cool.
Isn't that nice? I mean,
like Lee Bermejo vibe almost on Batman there. I mean, not the face so much, but like the technique.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, yeah, it's slick. I don't know how, Jim always seems to find, I mean, he's a big illustration art collector, but he does dig up artists that who I'm not familiar with quite a lot. I mean,
I like that.
Yeah. I do too. I love the tone paper on it. I mean, this is that Spectre in the sky? Yes, it is. Yes,
Well, you can see the texture too.
Yeah.
Look at the spatter.
Yeah, this is cool. I wonder. Just curious now. Patrick Reynolds. Well, there's what do we got? 60 pieces on calf, and they're all kind of painted. Cool, or most of them. Interesting. Yeah, somebody I'm not very familiar with, but I'll leave that there and check it out later. And Mikhail says Aranga has a magnificent archangel by him. All right, I will look at it. Let's see here. So next up, what do we got here? Oh, that's right. See, and then I told you, too many X-Men pieces. But there was like Kevin Catalan. It must have been at Heroes because it seemed like, and I didn't, there was a lot of artists that I seem to have missed while I was there. But there were a lot of pieces by Kevin posted to CAF. And I could have picked almost any of them because every one of them kind of was spectacular in its own way. But yeah, I love his stuff. And Colin's letting us know that it's after midnight now. It did hit midnight. All right, we're getting there. I'm on number 5. I'm going fast. But yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, it's pretty good work. I mean, I mean, there's a lot of rendering going on in all of the pieces that I saw. And I could have picked any of them, like I say, but this was cool. It's a Wolverine versus Magneto. And you get all these Sentinels all chopped up. Good stuff.
This is what you call bang for your buck.
I guess so. I mean,
he's packing these in. He's packing them in.
Dang. Yeah, I like this. So, but yeah, who else had pieces from Kevin? That let's see. I mean, there's only so Aranga.
Tyler T is a big fan.
Well, if Tyler T is going there, I can say that I'm gonna like because I don't know. Tyler's got good taste, or at least I think he does. He picks artists that are.
No, he objectively has good taste.
Yes, he does. And then, so Mikhail's got a piece by him added to the site on the 22nd. So just after Heroes, I guess. So anyways, good stuff here. Congrats to Tyler on that piece. Now, next up, here we go. There's the Mannix of Brera. I just love Mannix's stuff. And I always like picking a color piece to use as the show graphic. And I mean, come on, it's Spider Cat for crying out loud. And again, it's an homage, right, of Amazing Fantasy 15. It's just funny. So you get the mouse. So I don't know. I love it. I love Mannix's stuff. And whose cat gallery is this? Oh, Josh. I didn't know it was Josh. Sorry, man. I had no idea. I just love the image. So congrats to Josh on that one, man. I mean, look at it. His stuff is just so graphic. I mean, it has, I'm not going to compare him with anybody, but when I look at his stuff, I love, I love like the kind of the flat colors that he uses.
Yeah.
Kind of do stuff like this. It's very, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what period in advertising you would see stuff like that. I guess more like in the 50s, 40s, 30s in that era,
like cigarette ads.
Cigarette ads, right? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so I just love the stark quality of the stuff because they could be like prints. You can see these being done in a print shop,
like a silk screen almost.
Yeah. So
we just talked about Jay Stevens a couple weeks ago too, and it because it's a cat probably, but also the style makes me think of Jet Cat a little bit.
That's true. So congrats on that one, Josh. Another Mannix masterpiece. And hey, look, we got an Aquaman in here. I mean, and that wasn't planned because I picked these before. We got any of the picks from.
And just like Paddock said, there's Black Manta.
Exactly. And that is funny, isn't it? I mean, honestly, I picked this one yesterday, and then Paddock picked that one. So this is who's this? It's Sideshow Bob. That's right. Well, we all know that he has a fantastic collection.
A man of taste.
Yes, and maybe he was saying that just because he knew that Sideshow Bob had picked up a piece with Manta on it as a apparel cover. But anyways, this is exactly what you would want if you were going to get an Aquaman cover. It's just, I mean, it is perfection. I mean, just looking at it, there is nothing wrong with it. It's amazing. So 2 thumbs up for me. If I could like it
right
twice.
down to like that's the best Aquaman logo too. So like you literally get everything.
Yeah. So yeah, dang. I mean, the more I look at it, and I'm not a DC guy. I've never owned a piece by Apparel. Probably never will. But Yeah, this is it's fantastic.
Who inked this?
I don't know. I don't see. I mean, yeah, he just lists Jim as the penciler. Maybe, yeah. I mean, either way, that's yeah. Look at that. That's damn good.
Mm.
And it only has Jim on there, so it must be all
yeah.
Jim.
Awesome. Yeah. Even better.
Well, congrats, Bob. And okay, so here, see again, another X-Men. That's why I'm not. And next week, no X-Men. I had to pick this one. Come on, it's Paul Smith.
Yeah.
We get a Paul Smith page that we
and Colossus.
And Colossus and Cyclops. And look at that. He's like want to bet, and he blasts blasts that guy right out the window. Splow. So yeah, I mean it's I don't know, it's everything you love in Paul Smith Uncanny X-Men artwork. I look at this and it's like it just takes me back to buying these off the spinner rack. They're just incredible.
Love both of the perspectives on Colossus on the bottom too.
Yeah,
the running away and the charging both look great.
And it's cool, I mean, you look back at Paul Smith's work. I mean, he that's not a beefy Colossus, right? He kind of drew the team in a way that made them look kind of diminutive in a way, like
wayfish almost,
right?
But
I mean,
young though. Correct.
So he didn't. It was just so cool, different, and that's what made Paul Smith's stuff just stand out when you were reading it. You knew it was good art, and Claremont was still at the top of his game, storytelling wise, and yeah, I mean this is great. And again, you get the Orzechowski lettering in it. I mean, everything about it. Yeah, I love this period. So, and I don't want to make a mistake on the owner. Of course, James Henry. We know James has a fantastic calf gallery. And you get Wycheck inks too. Two more here. And this is yeah, I was surprised you didn't pick this one. This is
I saw it after I had 10. I was like, oh, I should have picked that Chuck Patton Vigilante page.
Because I mean, look at this thing. Everything about it. I mean, this is like perfect storytelling. I mean, you look at this panel to panel. I mean, it's so dynamic. Behind the guy with the gun, you swing the camera around as he gets closer, and then kicks him in the back. I mean, I've never read anything from Vigilante, but this thing is it's unbelievable. It is so freaking good. Oh God. I mean, I want this page badly. And because it is, I mean, that last panel is great, but the storytelling panel to panel is just unbelievable.
I love this Vigilante costume to the point where at the time I didn't know anything about the character, nothing. I saw the costume, I was like, who's this guy? Looked like a cool Cyclops.
Say that. Thank you, Marcus.
Let's also say effective, cool and effective Cyclops.
Exactly, because
I'd follow this guy anywhere.
Yes, but who's Rick W? Rick W. Obviously Rick. This is like in Rick's sweet spot era of artwork, I believe. But yeah, man, this is a damn good page. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, congrats, man. Again, I could stare at this page for hours. It is that good. All right, last piece.
Chuck Patton underrated.
Yeah, I mean, have we ever talked about Chuck's artwork on here before?
I picked a Justice League Detroit era page from him, but quite a while ago.
Okay, well, that's good. It's always good to bring in talk about some artists that we don't speak about too often. And here's a Wes Craig piece, Deadly Class, cover. Just on this one, it's more. There's a lot of reasons, but I love the composition, the arrow, the team. I mean, God, it's just beautiful in a graphic.
All the negative space, yeah.
I mean, I saw it and I'm just like, there are other pieces I could have picked, but I really just love. I love the graphic quality of the piece. I mean, I don't even know what it was used for. Was it a cover? I mean, I think it said it was a cover, hardcover.
I love how boiled down it is. You know what I mean? It's just the essentials for each one of the figures, like just the essentials for the foreground elements. It's just so pared down to exactly what it needs to be.
Well, I agree. And yeah, and I know we've picked a few other Deadly Class pieces by Wes in the past, but yeah, just totally slick. I love this image. And you figure this is a cover. It's not dominated by figures, right? I mean, so often you need your in your face, hero or villain or whatever. And here, I mean, these figures can't be 2 inches tall. If this is 11 by 17. So, he's really looking at it as a work of art. He's not worried about doing anything other than make something that's got a lot of eye appeal, and it does. So
yeah, and it's just clear and concise.
Yep. Parkour. Yes, and that too. So hey, we did it almost. I mean, we're 9 minutes over, 10 minutes over now, but not
admirable.
Yeah, we did our best. So so thank you. So we'll be at it again. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, we'll be at it again next week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a holiday week, so I hope everybody enjoys their 4th of July. We're not that's a Tuesday next week, so I chose not to have a show on Tuesday night. It's not everybody should be hanging out with family if they can. So I would expect everyone to want the night off anyway. But Chris, always fun.
Thank you, sir.
I can't keep up with you on Untapped, unfortunately. I'm trying.
You can try.
I'm trying.
You can try.
I'll tell you what, in Florida, man, they do not have. I can't find it. I mean, it's hard to find Guinness here. The
That's
last
good.
time, yeah. Well, I went to where did I go last? Well, the thing is, you go into any place, a liquor store. I'm like, is there any good places to buy beer around here? And they're like, well, we've got the best. They're like, well, we have the best beer selection. And you look down there, and the best thing they got is like Yingling, right? Which I'm not gonna knock it. But that's as good as it gets.
That's
here.
East Coast high life is what that is.
Yeah, but I mean it's really awful. I mean I guess if I was closer to Orlando, it'd be a lot easier to get some good craft brewers or something. But 30 minutes or 30 miles north of Orlando, and I can't get nothing.
Tim Dury is right. Cigar City has good beer.
Cigar City, where is that?
They're close to you.
Are they? All right, I'm going to write that
that's
down.
Probably, if somebody said name a Florida brewery, that's probably the one I would name.
Okay.
There aren't a lot of notables.
Well, I'm going to see if I can find out where Cigar City is and get some. But you would think that they would carry that, somewhere. And I've been to pretty much every. But the thing is, all we have around here are gas stations or liquor stores.
They have a beer called Highlight that I think you'd like a lot.
All right.
Highlight, like the weird sport with the glove. Yeah.
Okay. I will keep my eyes open for it. I'll try.
All right,
Chris. Well, thank you as always, and we'll see you again next week on Thursday.
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas.
All right, so we can wrap it up now. Corporate sponsor for OAX. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll have to work on that. It is in Florida, so maybe. What else we got? We didn't even talk about OAX, but lots of stuff going on there. Kazra and I have been working our tails off. It's kind of why I feel rather unprepared these days. I mean, we've been spending so much time on that. There's so many cool things that I wish I felt like I should be talking about right now, but expect July to be filled with different, with lots of announcements, new guests, special things that we've got going on or planned for OAX. It is definitely going to be an event to remember. The guest list is second to none. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, from the lineup we have right now, it really is going to be very special. And I can't talk about any of it, but there's so many good things happening. And thanks, especially to Kazra, because he's been doing a whole heck of a lot of work trying to pull it all together with me and doing a lot of the phone calls and things that I don't have time to do. So he's been, couldn't have a better partner working on this project. That's all I have to say. So so expect some announcements. Maybe next week we can talk about a few more things. So thanks to everybody for hanging out with me throughout all this. It was definitely a good show. All these little extra bits I'll post to the channel so as standalone segments throughout the weekend. We will be back on Monday night with the Sketchbook show. James will be manning that one. As he mentioned, Jeff Wedding will be there, Rob, and a few others whom I've already forgotten. He said was teaming up with him. But again, no show on Tuesday, Dueling Dealers on Wednesday. So have a good 4th of July and a wonderful weekend. And